Hey everybody, welcome back to another fantastic day of the World Cup tryouts. Had a fun day earlier today doing Turkey, and now we are here for Team Chile, the second day of their tryouts, and it's going to be a fantastic time. And join us. I'll fix that really quick. But joining you for today is, in fact, Dexatron. Definitely not anybody else. I don't know why anybody else would be on this thing right now, because this is my guy right here. I would never put somebody else's name over his plate like that.
Unfortunately, I can't see your screen, so you didn't have to say anything about that, and I would not have known anything about it. But yeah, so Team Chile going into their second day of tryouts. If you were here last night, whether it was with you and Mott and Joker were streaming it, you also had William Mundy, Senju streaming it down in Portuguese, I believe Spanish, in South America, where I'm going to be honest with you, I was really impressed with the viewers that they got there. I believe they're always hovering around 150 people, but they got to see some of the best players, or the best players in Chile, really go out and show off why they should be part of this World Cup team here. And Hunter, while you and Mott talked about yesterday, especially you talked about how you know a lot of these players on this team. There are definitely a lot of players that really stood out yesterday, not only to you and Mott, but to me as well watching. And it's going to be really fun to see them here again tonight for what is bound to be another great session of tryouts.
Yeah, I am really excited because everybody was impressive at some point during yesterday's tryouts. Players that obviously we're very familiar with on these lists right here, but also players that we're not as familiar with, maybe haven't seen in a hot minute, that have come in and really made a name for themselves again by just coming in and participating. Players that played way back in Open Division, that played at Contenders, previous seasons of Face League as well. It's been really exciting to see. A lot of those faces from Pumas, which is a very Chile-dominant team, have also come back through the woodwork, that we haven't seen a lot of them since Season 6, so that has been extremely entertaining to watch, and I'm really excited to see how the second day is going to go, because this is a big list of people that are trying out this weekend.
Yeah, I believe you guys said last night 28 people across all the roles. Granted, a lot of those are tank players, but still, there's a decent number of supports. There's a decent number of DPS players as well. But Hunter, you have to look at it like this. This team, the committee, only going to be selecting the best quarter of these players here in this region. And while me and you might already have, like we kind of said, an opinion on some of these players because we've seen them, maybe we think they should be on the team, but throughout these tryouts, you and me might really figure out that, hey, maybe this player here that we truly haven't seen that much of might deserve it over one of the players we have been seeing for a little bit right now. But at the same time, hey, they have a couple more days of tryouts here. I believe they're still going on tomorrow. They might have one more day after that. And then you have to assume that probably after 3 or 4 tryouts, they're going to be locked into their top 7, if not probably their top 10 at least.
Yeah, because I think maybe even, obviously we don't know how updates are going to go with specific players as things go, but maybe the tryouts narrow in a little bit more during the weekend as well. Obviously, we're not going to know anything for a fact until we see all these maps come into form today. We should probably end up playing about 6 maps total, is my estimation. That's how things went down yesterday. And obviously, we're hoping for some good results today because we know there's some very, obviously, familiar players, very talented players on here. It's obviously, at the end of the day, our job to talk about everybody we possibly can. And Dex, that does start with our own personal knowledge of who we've seen in this region. And there is quite a lot of names, thankfully, that we are quite familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, me and you could look through every one of the roles here and say, like, hey, we know this player, we know these players here. So, again, me and you probably point out, like, hey, here's 7, 8 players that me and you have seen through Face It play so far in the 3 seasons we've covered here. But a lot of these other names, especially last night, I was really impressed with some of them. Zybe was one I was really impressed with. I even think Black Wolf came in and was able to do a really good job on that hit scan. And some of these tanks as well, me and you know Glitch very well. I was really impressed with what we saw from Miz there, but looks like we're heading into Ilios for our first map of the night here. And already coming out the gate, looks like both these teams going to be playing Hazard. Now, Hunter, me and you saw a lot of Hazard all the way back in Season 6 of Face It. Didn't really see him a lot in Season 7, but maybe Hazard starting to come back on a little bit of an upswing here for Chile. But outside of that, almost the exact same conversation. Actually, no, mirrored matches here for these two teams as DKR already be able to shut down Zybe.
Yeah, 100%. This is getting going very quickly early on here, but hey, loving every single little bit of it as we're getting into this affair right here. Like I said, it's Ive. First one to end up going down, but you trade out the Lucios at the end of the day. And as we're kind of proceeding forward, point going to unlock as things are getting set away pretty nicely. DKR, an excellent shot to get rid of Pun Pun, but again, the trades are flying through. And at least for the time being, Santiago is looking to try and stabilize to some degree as these teams just cannot stop trading. But eventually, Volition could keep their squad going and take that first cap.
Hunter, quickly speed up your thing as fast as you can. I think I'm about 7 seconds ahead of you.
You are, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, Valparaiso has control of the point here. And I mean, we always talk about it in Face It League play, how good Burt is. Even though Burt found a couple picks in that first fight, Valparaiso, because of DKR and Volition Glitch, just able to do so much there for them, has control of the point, almost giving up for free here as you're seeing Santiago look for any little opening act they can find here. They're trying to take some good angles, but Valparaiso doing a really good job at just playing away from them, making sure that Santiago that has to peek their heads out.
Yeah, 100% at the end of the day, so it's going to be really critical to see where things end up going from here early on. Kitsune Rush is coming up here pretty soon. At least you're kind of hoping they're going to be up pretty soon, as Volition has a Pulse Bomb ready, going to chuck it out, and while not going to find anything, Valparaiso is going to start falling apart one after another. Pun Pun was successful in their trials yesterday, and so far is looking great today.
And I mean, right now, you see them coming right back in. Pun Pun has Pulse Bomb ready to go. Burt has Bola as well. You have to be ready for that coming up here in a quick moment for these two teams. Because, again, those are two really big ultimates. You want to be able to find some value with them here, especially for both these sides.
Yeah, no, 100%. That is what you're hoping for ultimately right now. As kind of getting towards this next fight, these ultimates very much starting to turn the corner for a lot of these players. Obviously, Pun Pun and Burt, would love to see some great stuff from them. That Bullet Shot and Pulse Bomb, respectively, going to be available going into this fight. Is Glitch down early. Might not need to mention them as Burt gets a little something with that Bolo shot, but Santiago should be able to stabilize here with Glitch not back yet.
Tell me when you get to 50.
I'll let you know, because I'm nowhere near that. Nowhere near that.
Yeah. Just keep talking.
Yeah, so yeah, we're getting things right now as 50, as we're kind of proceeding with this one and trying to get things moving and grooving. We see the cleanse come out there to kind of stop the original, as Pulse Bomb coming over onto Glitch, as lots of bolts coming through. It is extremely chaotic at the end of the day, but Valparaiso slowly falling apart as Santiago gonna hold strong again.
And Santiago, ever since it got control of this point, and haven't let it go yet, and this is what I like seeing from this team right now. They're taking good angles, and again, we talked about Burt. You guys talked about Burt a lot yesterday, and for really good reason. Maybe one of the best hit scans in the South American region. You have to be watching out for them, especially on this Freya. It feels like they're an expert on it, and the angles they can take, just very, very scary. You're looking for DKR on the other side to be able to shut them down here, but at the same time, you really need the rest of Valparaiso's squad, like Volition, to be able to get in there and disrupt Surreal and Zybe on that backline.
Yep, that's ultimately what you're hoping for in a situation like this. As you kind of proceeding forward, you're heading into Final Fight territory, 99%, as overtime is going to start taking over for Santiago. As Valparaiso, they have a lot. As B going to come out here, Volition does not get it. Still very vulnerable. As Pulse Bomb thrown over into the ether. And while it doesn't get a whole lot, it's DKR over on this Freya that is keeping Valparaiso alive, as they're going to be able to take this point back. 99% for Santiago, though, as that's a pretty big investment.
Yeah, pretty big investment, one you need to make right there if you're Valparaiso, because if you didn't make it, that point ends there. You go to the next point anyway. You want to make it there. You have a couple ultimates actually coming up here, not that far away from Kitsune, not that far away from Ebola. You look over at the other side here for Santiago, they're only going to really have a Pulse Bomb here. So if you're Valparaiso right now, you're trying to make this a very, very slow fight. Make sure Santiago only has that Pulse Bomb to their name, because the Kitsune Rush and potentially the Bola shot from DKR might just be enough for you not only win a fight, but win the point.
Yeah, 100%, and Pun Pun's getting them into a good position here to try to close this first map out, or first round out, I should say, as the overtime ticking away, Volition into the hole, as Kitsune Rush not going to help you a bit there, as Santiago side, red side, going to take this first one away, and Burt, honestly, picking up where he left off in that original first day of tryouts yesterday.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, Burt might be one of the best DPS players in this region, especially when it comes to face it play. So it's not necessarily a surprise to see him immediately start off as good as they have been here. But Valparaiso, like I said, they want to try to have that be a little bit of a slow, drag out kind of fight here, as you do see what we're seeing now, the teams making swaps here. So I don't think there's any bans. I think they're just being told what to play here, which is something that you did talk about. We will see a lot throughout the night. The coaches and the people who are making the teams will be kind of telling the teams what they need to be playing here so they get the most info on all these players here. But I mean, you saw there, Valparaiso, I think, like I said, they wanted to have that be a slow drag out kind of fight because you were going to have the ultimate advantage if it was. But Santiago, I think they understood that right away and just dove onto the most valuable or the most vulnerable target there. And they were just able to pick off one by one after that there. So really good play and communication there by Santiago. Valparaiso, though, so close to being able to get what they wanted. They just didn't have the proper spacing on it, really. And you could really improve that here, especially as we go to a map like Lighthouse. Granted, you don't have the Lucio, so not going to be able to find a lot of boop kills. You could get whip shot kills from the Briggs on either side, or hell, even more Winston environmental kills here as well. But I'm going to be watching the Echoes here. I feel like Echo right now, very strong in the meta, and not necessarily one you see that often.
Yeah, and Pakovic, unfortunately, gonna be taken care of really early on here as hey, everyone playing the mirror comps here as they were instructed to do so. Obviously want to get as much as you can as Burt just takes the reset, realizing the fight is done and over with as Valparaiso gonna start with the point this time around.
Yeah, and I mean, they started off with a point last time around as well. Seems like this team understands how to take these first fights, and a lot of it is hey, you're disrupting what I think really what Burt wants to do. Get up on the high ground, find those angles. They did a really good job shutting that down, and a lot of Santiago's, I think, playstyle runs through Burt, getting these off angles, landing a couple of these take aim shots, getting those explosive damage, because while Freya has been nerfed, she is still very much a burst damage kind of DPS player, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's insane right there, and the Echoes end up getting taken out, and now Burt already at two of their own here, trying to turn this fight around on its head. And with Glitch not really having much left but senses to kind of get that healing, it feels like you might have to straight up surrender this point. Maybe you find somebody, but I think it is just going to be surrendered at, make it 40%.
And around the same kind of percentage it was last point for Valparaiso, where they had to give it up. Granted, they lost the team fight there. Like you said, they gave it up, surrendering it there, kind of just falling back. You look at the differences on ultimates. Burt already has the bolus shot ready to go here compared to the DKR, who's still about 30% behind there. So we know Burt likes to use these early on. And hey, I say it, there it is.
Yeah, 100%. Looking good as you're trying to find something early on here. Glitch, extremely low volition under the same belt, and eventually ran down as, yeah, that's going to settle that one right then and there. As eventually you're just going to see people closed out. DKR, unfortunately, can't get out alive, and LCS would love to, but it is not going to happen.
And now Senses just need to find a way to get back to safety here. You're going to see Glitch come out to be able to at least force them back here for a brief moment. But again, look at this. DKR still hasn't built up to their first bola. Look at Burt. Already 70% to another one here. That was one fight. Santiago, though, has the lead, and it's coming up to all 5 of their ultimates here. Same thing could be said for Valparaiso, minus the lead thing. But again, you're looking for the DPS line here for Valparaiso to really be able to get your team going here, because it can't be Glitch on their own. You need DKR, you need Volition to find an opening pick.
You absolutely do, and Senses throws that Nano over onto Glitch. It's already making them a little bit of space, but you lose Volition. No copy early on here, and now Glitch needs all the help in the world. Primal Rage has to be used just to kind of stick into this one, and already they seem very willing to let these investments go, to try to have this be the fight that they go all in on, especially as Rally thrown out here from LCS. Forcing Pakovic back, who unfortunately is woken up and is able to use that Prem Rate to survive a little while longer. Dex, and there's going to be a little bit of a mini retreat as no, copy onto the monkey. They are doubling down here and now.
I mean, you have to. Same situation as point one here. You have to make this commitment right now if you have Valparaiso. The duplicate already getting taken out there by Pun Pun. They're going to be able to find Burt, but someone needs to get a touch.
Yeah, it does come through right there. Glitch is able to help out. Rallied in the face, though. Will eventually get deleted. You're probably going to have to see someone like LCS or Senses drop and get the initial touch, as Pun Pun is starting to clear out the bodies, and last one on the point is Senses, and Fences, unfortunately, is just going to have to run for the Fences, and that'll end that round right here. But of course, we are in the Scrim code, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll play all 3 points here on Ilios.
and again, we're basically just seeing exactly what we saw at point one. Valparaiso gets off to a good start, then they just lose one fight, or kind of what we saw here in Lighthouse, where they just had to fall back, disengage. And this Santiago team seems like a team that is very, very good with just being able to take angles and just find so much value on them here. Again, we can praise Bert a lot for it because, hey, we know how good of a player they are, but everyone else for that Santiago team is doing incredibly. But right now, if you're Valparaiso, what do you need to do here? You kind of need to be able to figure out how to take these angles, and realistically I think all you have to do is be able to shut down the DPS line for Santiago, because that DPS line is finding value after value here, Hunter.
Yeah, no, 100% it is. It is finding a lot of value. And I like the fact that we're seeing a lot of different comps earlier on, because a lot of the thing that happened yesterday was that it was a lot of like, oh, we want to run these comps on these specific maps and see a lot of different things. Because ultimately, a point I've brought up, I feel like 1,000 times this weekend, is you want to see everybody on as many different heroes as possible that are very much in what they are expected to be able to play. Because if you have the best Sojourn in the world, that's great, but, you know, are they going to be able to flex over if, say, Sojourn is no longer the play?
Yeah, and now going into our third point here, you see the comps. D.Va, Vendetta, Widow, Iari, and Kiriko this time around here. And again, I think this is going to be really interesting to see DKR and Bert again. The hit scan, especially on this long-range map, it's going to be very, very important for either one of them to find an early pick, which will open up a lot here. Vendetta, though, still very strong right now at the moment. Could be someone that they really use on both sides to try to shut down the Widow on the other side.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously things are a little rough around the edges. Volition being taken the better of there by Pun Pun, who again, I mean, pulled out that Vendetta quite a little bit in the affair yesterday and looked really good on it.
And Bert, knowing where DKR was, not going to be able to land a shot, not going to be able to land a shot there again, but you do see Santiago actually kept the point for the first time here this entire map. But now Valparaiso, they need to try to find something here early on. And now Zybe, I think if Glitch stuck with them, they could have been able to find them.
Oh, yeah, and Pun Pun's in a really rough spot now. Unfortunately, he walks right into Volition. So now for things for Santiago beginning to fall apart here, as Pakovic would love to get that Mega Health Pack. Does get it, but I don't think it's going to change the result of this fight one bit.
No, it's really not. Bert using the visors here, I mean, yeah, I don't hate it. It's not necessarily going to give you a fight victory here. You're only going to kind of stall out maybe Valparaiso on point here for a brief moment, but you do see Valparaiso get control of the point here, and now you already see Volition just trying to get out with their life.
Yeah, trying their darndest to be able to do so. It's kind of getting forced back around, and you're trying your best to hold on to your Volition, but it's just too much damage. You can't block it all at the end of the day, as Cactus Sun ready to go, trying to eat it as it's going to be sent, and you see the immediate blow of Cirilla, who can't cleanse it in time, trying to get that shot over onto Zybe, doesn't get it as Bert takes senses out midair.
Keep your head down when falling. Bert going to be able to make that a two-piece right there. And now bomb coming out here from Glitch. LCS does also invest the Consumer Rush here, trying to keep Valparaiso on this point as long as they can. Glitch gets the crush kill, but Bert again finding a third one there, shutting down LCS. Volition going to be able to at least keep Valparaiso in this fight for a little bit longer here, but now no bomb for Glitch this time around. This should be going over Santiago's way.
Yeah, it realistically should, and there's the cleanup. No one else to be able to touch that will do it. They're going to be able to take this at about 54%, as we see the flip come through. And now you have your own Catch of Sun around the corner, which, to be fair, it's still been keeping being by the D.Va, but they've been pretty effective thus far.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Santiago, they only used the Consumer Rush in that last fight. They have Bomb, they have Sundering Blade, they have Sun, like you mentioned. Not that far away from another Visor. Valparaiso, that was a pretty heavy ult fight there for them, as you already see the Sundering Blade coming out here early on from Volition, and they just kind of have to swing it down because they saw Bert there for a brief moment and said, nah, fam, I don't want that.
Oh, boy. Yeah, and there's a lot of people. The cleanse came out, though, so unfortunately not really any targets left, as Pakovic does help get rid of get the better of Glitch, I should say, as everyone has to run out of there. A 70% marker coming through. You need to get everybody with that reset. Pun Pun maybe overextending their hand for a moment, but we'll stay alive, though.
I mean, I don't blame Santiago for playing that aggressive. You just saw a lot of ultimates come out there from Valparaiso on the other side, so you have to assume that they really don't have anything here. You still have Bomb. Pakovic can play aggressively because of that. So yeah, play up aggressively right now if you're Santiago. Bert's been able to find a couple headshots, so once they start taking the other angle, you just play him right into Bert there, but no, it's going to be them falling back. DKR, though, finally going to be able to get one up here on Bert, and that is the opening act you're looking for here.
100% it is. You're trying to get this one going. Bomb on the point, and Pagovic able to just get rid of the turret at the end of the day. Fair enough. But still, you're keeping your bodies on this. You absolutely need to if you have Valparaiso. But unfortunately, things becoming a little more on the potentially desperate side as eventually everything flying back and forth. LCS lucky to still be alive. Unfortunately, luck does always run out as you're trying to throw in this captive sun, but it's just, there's no good place to throw it. Oh.
Now they throw it at Bert. Just briefly misses Bert, though. However, Pakovic could die here. You see Pun coming back in, but will they stay a part of this fight? Looks like they're going to do it for a brief moment, but Bomb now coming out here from Glitch. And Pun lives it.
Yeah, that block needs to go away ASAP. But yeah, still 99%. Consider Rush over on the point. LCS just got back in time to use it and then go down again, but DKR, the only one there to help out at the moment, needs to find some kind of target to try to close this one out and bring it back their way. Unfortunately, that is to not be the case, as Santiago going to take all 3 rounds here to get things started.
Yeah, again, a really great start here for everyone on Santiago. What a God, I kind of hope they never fix that bug. But, I mean, a good map here, I think, for both teams. I think Santiago especially. You had a really good start here, both on Lighthouse and Well. Again, you were taking really good angles, and Bert getting play the game right here, really showing you why. Again, like I said... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Volition. But, again, you're seeing why me and you really consider Bert to be one of the better DPS players, maybe hit scans in this entire region here. So already off to a good start for them. But again, that entire team, they played like a really good unit. Paraiso, on the other hand, they did have their moments. They really did. They weren't ever able to actually win a fight, though, after they gave up point, which was a weird thing. It seemed like this was a team that always was able to win the first fight on a lot of these maps or a lot of these points. But after that, they weren't able to really keep it going. Really, Santiago would come right back in and kind of shut it down almost immediately.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's something we saw a lot yesterday as well, and it's being consistent today. And obviously, that's a massive thing to be able to do, have that level of consistency. But it's going to be really exciting to see where things kind of go from here and how things are going to develop. Because remember, with there being as many players as they are, you're going to see a lot of swaps every single map. Some players may be a little more consistently. Some may come in chunks. Some may come in from time to time. But we'll see obviously soon what the process is going to be in terms of that. But either way, I mean... it's an impressive map for everyone, obviously, on the side of Santiago, everything they were able to do. Obviously, Bert light at the kill feed as always. But I brought up Pun before we got into things while we were kind of chilling out. And I said they had a really impressive day yesterday. And I think from everything we've seen today, had a pretty good start here as well.
Yeah, already off to a really good start here, but I want to see, and again, we're going to be keeping score throughout this entire thing. It doesn't really matter that much. I want to see Pun be on a team that's kind of struggling here, because I really think you saw Pun do very well because Santiago was doing so incredibly good. That last map, I think Pakovic had an incredible map, Zybe and Surreal. While I wish I looked a little bit more at the stats here for them, I thought they did a really good job on that support line, and really they never got pressured out, it seemed, in a lot of those fights. And Hunter, whenever, it doesn't matter what level you're playing at, what league it is, if your support line never feels any pressure, normally your team is doing something really right there. And Santiago was able to do that a lot that first map there. But I want to see Pun maybe go to a team that's losing a couple of these maps here, because I want to see how they play in that kind of situation. But yeah, a really good first map for them. I thought in the mirror match with Volition, who we have seen in the past, I thought they did really good, and maybe even at times were better than Volition, because I was pretty highly on Volition coming into it here. I was pretty highly on Pun coming into it after the last night's performance, but right now Pun looked very good after just one map.
Yeah, 100% did, and again, had a really good level of consistency yesterday. Obviously hoping to have something of similar today, and I think right now, off to a really good start. And there's a lot of players that I'm excited for you to be able to see for the very first time, because I think there's quite a number of them that I've been using I'll call it the phrase, that going to these, there may be times where I don't know who this is, being candid. I'm not sure who you are, but I want to be able to be done 2 hours later and be like, okay, I know exactly who you are now. I know what you're capable of. And to be fair, you want that out of every single player that is in this lineup right now, to be able to have that confidence and say, like, I didn't know who you were 2 hours ago, but now I want to know even more.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it like this. We're going for me tonight. There's a lot of these players where I'm going into essentially the great unknown with them. I don't know what to expect from them other than what I was able to catch last night and what you were able to tell me about them here. But sometimes the unknown is something that could be very, very exciting to learn about here, and that's gonna be something really fun to see throughout the night here. Surreal. I mean, you talked a lot about Zybe. I thought Surreal, like I said, did really good that first map. DKR was able to not necessarily match Burt in a lot of the hit scan fights, but was able to at least able to find Bird a couple times, able to really help their teams in a couple of fights that did end up winning there. So again, I think you're seeing a lot of good things out from some of these players that, like I said, the great unknown a little bit, the unknowns for me, because you want to see those surprises. And right now, I think Pun Pun, Surreal have really been able to do that for me so far. Pakovic, I remember watching them a little bit last night. I kind of knew what to expect from them here, and I thought they did a really good job really matching up against a tank player that me and you have seen in the past with Glitch.
Yeah, no, and Glitch obviously for the past really impressive everything we've gotten to see from them as well. And obviously looking forward to seeing some players that obviously we haven't seen in a hot minute as well, because that is 100% the case with a few of the players on this list. And obviously, hopefully, we see a little bit more of them as the night progresses onward. Because as we said, so many players, lots of swaps going to happen throughout the night. Going to see a lot of different compositions as well, for that matter. But every little bit's going to be exciting at the end of the day. And obviously, we're rooting for everybody in this situation to play as hard as they possibly can. Because at the end of the day, we want every single nation, every single team to be as strong as they possibly can be.
Yeah, and especially for me and you here in the South American region, we really do want to be shown off a little bit more. And I think both me and you look at this World Cup as a great opportunity for this region to be shown off and maybe get a little bit more eyes on it here. Because I think both me and you have said in the past, there are players in this region that if they're given the chance, I think they could be some superstars. Not only in South America, but maybe North America, potentially OWCS as well here. But still waiting for the second map to get started here. Don't know what it is just yet. Don't know who to see, because remember, a lot of players here for these tryouts, you could really see 10 new players come in, because remember, 28 players, I believe that was the number that are signed up or are part of this trial for Team Chile. So you could not see some of the players that we saw on map 1, maybe all the way again until map 3 or 4. But hey, there it is. We're gonna be seeing New Queen Street next. Looks like we're gonna be seeing a couple returning faces here. It looks like it's gonna be just the people staying, I believe, Senses and LCS. Outside of that, I believe everyone else is going to be new.
Yeah, and obviously I'll kind of go through a lot of these names as we keep proceeding forward. But it will be really interesting to see everybody. And obviously, FX we've seen previously before. Obviously, as I'll be able to look at the lineups a little bit later as we get into the game. But Miz is someone that I want to bring up right now that I was really impressed with for the brief period of time that they were in yesterday. Obviously, one of the tanks on a very big list of tanks, by the way, where you really need to show what you can do here. I think they looked amazing yesterday. I think they're one of the people to really look out for in the situation here today and what they can do, especially going up against this backline. Again, you're going to have LCS on that backline with FX there now. Obviously, two players we know are very skilled that we know can work well together. But ultimately, we'll see what comes to form here as we're getting ready to get to our next map, and it's going to be New Queen Street.
Yeah, doors are open, and looks like they've let the teams decide what comps we're going to be seeing here. Valparaiso is going to be showing us a little bit of Domina here. Haven't really seen a lot of Domina so far, at least in the stuff I've been casting. I know you've seen a little bit more Domina in a couple of these World Cup tryouts. But the other side, Proper going to be sticking with the D.Va here. Look, I mean, D.Va's still very strong at the moment. Drago showing us the... showing us the Sojourn, but Lamont also going to be showing us the Sojourn, just not this fight.
Yeah, just not quite. Unfortunate scenario, but Miz also going to fall over. Proper going to knock them off the map. And Proper, we didn't get to see a ton of, was in a very brief map for Esperanza yesterday, so didn't really get to see a whole lot of what they can do, but this is going to offer a bigger opportunity to show it off here, as I'm really excited to see Proper in a full-on map this time.
And Miz just immediately deciding they cannot play Domina into what Santiago's playing. And I think that's the right move. I think the D.Va would have been a little bit too much for them here, so they would go over to match the D.Va instead. Nero, I mean, you saw him in that first fight. They were above the team. Actually somehow got above Valparaiso there and helped out in a big sense. But Lamont comes right back in, and hey, they weren't a part of the first fight, but they're sure as hell part of the second one.
Yeah, 100%. It has been a star on that Pumas team. Same team that got to those grand finals and went up against Factor X and brought an absolute fight to them. Extreme Entertainment and Lamont obviously going to show up here, and we know how strong they can be on that Soj.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's scary sometimes when we see them absolutely pop off here. But right now, Santiago getting back to the cart, going to be able to actually take a lead. Valparaiso not able to do as much as they probably want to do with that little first push they got there. But you see him slowly just trying to take some angles right now. You're really looking maybe at Drago to find an early pick, but Neuro not that far away from a duplicate here as FX actually pops off with the Consumer Rush here. But I like what we're seeing from Valparaiso, just backing up instead, not really get a deal with it.
Yeah, obviously don't want to really deal with that situation right there. I don't blame him, but Senses, unfortunately, not given much of a choice in the equation. As with Miz knocked out of the mech, this fight should be done and dusty. You see the bot being stolen away momentarily, but this thing really should be done and over with as Miz is sent on a trip.
Yeah, LCS wanted to get the boop kill right there, but Mino comes right back in, shuts them down. Nero with the trade right after that. So that should be Santiago continuing to build upon their lead here right now, but you have to start looking at ultimates for both these sides. I mean, FX did pop off with that Kitsune Rush very early on, and Nero, I think they used duplicate just to keep themselves alive here. At this point, Hunter, you need to be finding a nano just to make this, I feel like, just momentary ultimate worth it.
I mean, yeah, 100%. You absolutely need it in a situation like this, and obviously you need to stay alive as best you can, getting forced out extremely low, but Draco will be the first one to go down as Neuro obviously wants to try to get out with their life as much as possible, but the team unfortunately falling apart around them right here as Mino-kun going to be given the tidal blast. They're kind of doubling down in a place where I don't think they need to, but it's going to help them clear things out a bit more.
Yeah, and right now you're still just seeing a little bit of a cleanup here. LCS will find one before being taken out there by Nika, but this is exactly what Valparaiso needed. They needed a fight to go their way. They got a couple ultimates out from the other side. Yeah, you did invest a couple of your own here, but you're still holding on to an overclock, which could be devastating, especially in Lamont's hands. Miz has the remeching tool here as well, so they have a little bit of aggressive playstyle that could come out from here. LCS, though, beat ready to go. Proper has their own bomb. Drago does have their own overclock ready to go as well. So Santiago actually in a really good spot here as Lamont gonna get started here with the overclock.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see where things proceed from here as we're to see out the gate. I mean, just getting ran over. I mean, what more can you say in that situation right there as Senses is taken care of. Miz is not going to be able to hit a proper reset. And everybody gone taken care of. And Drago, like, more than happy to finish things out.
Yeah, finding 3 picks there to end that fight. I mean, they're still holding on to their own overclock bomb, still ready for Santiago as well. And look at what else Santiago is building up to here. Another duplicate, another Kitsune Rush. Valparaiso does not have that same kind of ultimate bank in their corner here. Forward spawns now back in control here for Santiago as they continue to push a little bit forward. Now, honestly, you're looking for Miz here just to be able to distract someone a little bit, open up some space as Lamont gets taken out early. Pulse from Mino, not going to be able to find anything though.
Yeah, unfortunately not, and now those forward spawns activated. This card's going to be able to proceed much, much further and give a better lead. Now, Nourishing does go down at the very least, so you stem a small amount of bleeding, but the question is whether or not you can actually take advantage of that.
I mean, you're just not here. But Santiago, again, a team fight victory there, getting Valparaiso to use some of their own ultimates here while you're still holding on to almost all 5 of yours. We're looking at a moment here right now, Hunter, where I think Santiago, all they need to do is win one more fight, and they could end this map here early as Miz just goes right after LCS.
Yeah, and Neuroshin is going to hit that copy and bring the aggression back their way. Obviously, we'll have to build a bomb. It's going to get demeched. It's going to try to get it back, and it's going to remech. The question is whether or not they'll be able to get a bomb on time. As you see, one thrown out, doesn't get a whole lot. You see a second bomb thrown out, doesn't get a whole lot. But they are closing in as Neuroshin takes a one down with them before they go down. But eventually, you'll see this come to its natural end at the end of the day. But that is a big investment there for Santiago.
Oh, a huge investment there for Santiago. They invested 3 ultimates into that fight. Granted, they're still holding on to 2, but Valparaiso, it's not like they didn't invest anything. They invested bomb, but look at them now. They're in a much better spot. Deadeye, Pulse Bomb, Tidal Blast, Kitsune Rush, about to be ready for them this fight, and you need to get something going here right now for Valparaiso. Yeah, still 2 or 4 minutes left on this clock, a decent amount of time, but you don't want to be putting yourself into that territory where it's like, hey, we have to win this fight, the time bank. We really cannot afford to give up more space here. 50-50 Overwatch, Hunter. I mean, you talk about a lot as a Deadeye, gonna be able to take care of LCS.
Yeah, 110%. I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen here. As you see, Nourishin does get a nice finish, but I mean, Lamont's just clearing house. I mean, being taken care of, obviously an unfortunate situation as things proceeding forward. At the end of the day, though, what I'm trying to conclude at is that Santiago, despite losing the fight, they're happy to keep taking 50-50s.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since that bot is now just walking past the initial starting point here. And again, you got out the Deadeye, you got out the Tidal Blast. You have to deal with the Pulse Bomb, the Kitsune Rush here, but you're still holding on to your own overclock right now if you're Santiago.
We'll talk about that one later. I know what we saw. We'll pretend like we didn't see it. But Draco is going to try to get something going with this overclock. Unfortunately, going to be shut down as they're going to keep proceeding on forward. And suddenly, the gears are turning. Valparaiso is going to be clearing out bodies and could potentially get a lead off of this.
I mean, they're going to get forward spawns here. I don't necessarily know if they're going to be able to get a lead. Actually, finding LCS out and Neuro, yeah, you might be able to build a lead here now.
I think you're almost 100% going to build a lead off of this now. They are looking amazing at the end of the day, as some difficulties on the stream itself, so we'll do our best to kind of talk through it as things go. But either way, they're looking great right now. They are looking phenomenal. But at the end of the day, DMEC is going to come through on the copy, and things just... Actually, they do manage to get back into the mech, so there is still a way to bring this one back. But we'll see what happens. As the fight's kind of continuing onward, has to use the bomb to be able to get back into the mech, and thankfully we'll re-mech, but they are stopped just... actually, they barely get stopped short of getting that lead. It's such a wild situation.
Yeah, not even a quarter of a meter right now. Santiago's holding on this lead here, and they're doing a good job just being able to stall it out.
Oh yeah, 110%. Dex, do me a favor, hit pause in 3, 2, 1. And I'll let you know when to unpause because, yes. I don't think I have to explain the scenario at hand, so get ready because we're gonna, yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Alright. We're back in better than ever, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you. As, obviously, you're going to have that Tidal Blast ready if you're Valparaiso. You're going to be able to send a Minokin with it if you want to be really aggressive here in a second, but it's going to be LCS with the B instead, being ultra aggressive. And Nika is going to get blown up as a result, and unfortunately what progress you maybe could have gotten is going to be stopped right here.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be stopped right there if you're Valparaiso, but still you have some time left to go. What a pulse bomb, honestly. Some time left to go here, but you're seeing this support line actually start to clean up for Santiago.
Yeah, you 100% are, and it's looking good right now. As you're heading to this next fight, this is the one that Santiago really needs to let this lead try to extend beyond the aspect of like nearly a third of a meter. Like, obviously, at the end of the day. And with LCS gone early, that dream is very quickly slipping away as Proper hits the bomb. Would love to just try to get out of here alive with that remake. If they do get DMEC, though, that is going to be devastating.
Yeah, and Mid's going to be able to find a couple there as well. Looks like Proper going to be able to escape with their life here for the brief moment. I think you're actually ahead of me. But now Valparaiso, they're coming in this next fight here, which could be final fight. Again, not a lot of space they have to get the lead with 3 big ultimates to their name. Santiago going to have 3 as well. It's really going to come down to, surprisingly enough, I think the Deadeyes.
Yeah, that's the craziest part of the whole thing right here, as Lamont gone early. This is going to make things very difficult to pull back around right here as body after body beginning to fall over, that bot being stolen away, and there's no one left to contest as Santiago, they make them work hard for it, but they fall just short as Valparaiso obviously try their hardest. But that's an extremely back and forth map.
Yeah, and it's what we expect to see, really. It really is what you expect to see, especially from a tryout. A lot of these players have been showing us their best throughout these 2 nights so far, and granted, we're only 2 maps into tonight. There's still a lot more game left to be played. There's still a couple more players we have yet to see here, Hunter. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see as those new faces come in.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely interesting to see as new players come in. I think what is maybe really happy is that Proper again, who didn't get the biggest shake up yesterday in terms of what they can do. I think showed it a lot more here. I think looked fantastic over on that. Diva was really consistent with it as well, and that makes me really happy to see ultimately. But obviously proceeding forward, you're hoping to see everybody at the best they possibly can be. And I know I'm going to exaggerate this point over and over and over again, but it really is an important point, Dex, is that you need to be able to go into the situation and hope that everybody does as good as they possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing. You want to be able to come out of the day as with every player feeling like they showed off the most they possibly could here. You don't want to have it be where you have a couple players who are like, they might have ruined their chances here because again, there's a lot of talented players here in Hunter, like we talked about after the first map, and like probably you and Mott talked about a lot yesterday. A lot of these players you're seeing for the first time here, so these first impressions are very important. Granted, this is day 2 for the tryouts, day 2 for you as well, day 1 for me, but for these coaches and the people who are really deciding this team, they have a good idea about everyone right now. They probably have their kind of standings where they want to put everyone at the moment. So you want to leave it saying like, hey, I feel good about how I played here tonight. You really want to make it difficult for the coaching staff, the people who are making this team, building this team, to have to make those difficult choices here. But again, I mean, hey, we talked about the 2 players that stayed in, Senses and LCS. They swapped sides. LCS gets a victory here. I thought they played very good. Senses, I thought they played very good as well. And the 8 players that came in, I mean, again, we knew Lamont, they had their moments, but Drago on the other side was able to slow them down a little bit. Neuro, it seemed like they were always able to do almost essentially what they wanted, anything they wanted to do. A lot of times I saw him play that Echo because it seemed like they were able to just kind of chill out in the skybox while Valparaiso would just kind of struggle a little bit to shut them down.
Yeah, it kind of was a struggle to shut them down. Ultimately, it's obviously, at the end of the day, it's a big compliment. Someone's telling you, man, you are rough to shut down. You're like, thank you very much. I appreciate you. But at the end of the day, these players are extremely strong, and they're showing it very early on. And I know it's your first chance being able to see it here today, but everyone had their moment to shine yesterday. Whether it was consistent or whether it was like these flashes of brilliance, everyone got that chance. And Minokun is one of those players that had these really good flashes earlier on yesterday, and I don't think I got to see them as much as I think I really would have liked to, but I think they've been a really consistent player thus far this weekend.
Yeah, and again, that's, you want to see that consistency here. The flashes are great in moments, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of these people who are building these teams love the consistency a little bit more than the flashes, especially for what this is. It's a really big tournament that's going to be happening here, not only for the qualifiers and the knockout rounds for these teams, but if you're able to make it to the actual World Cup in September, it's going to be a really big opportunity for a lot of these players and a lot of these teams and a lot of these countries as well here. So it's going to be interesting here. You would probably go with consistency over flashes. But again, like you said, I thought Mino did a really good job that map there. I thought they did a really good job being able to disrupt a lot of stuff that we saw that Santiago was trying to do. But right now, I mean, hey, we're about to head into 3rd map. Again, don't know what it is just yet. Don't know what players we will be seeing. I imagine this time around, we will see maybe 1 or 2 more people stay in that we've already seen, because we've already seen 18 of the players. There's 28 players on the tryouts here, but again, some of them do overlap when it comes to what roles they can play. So flexibility might be the name of the game. And now that we're looking at it, Oasis going to be our 3rd map. Looks like FX, LCS, Lamont going to be staying in, but you're also seeing Bert, Zybe, Pun Pun come back in as well. Dark, YT, Dreams, Kinos are going to be coming in as well here this time around.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting because Dark YT was also in pretty briefly, but had honestly a phenomenal showing on this area. I'm really excited to see that. Dreams looked really good on the Diva as well, so obviously it's going to be a little hard throwing the Diva into that. But we'll see how the situation goes down as Dex. I think you know what I might ask of you here in a second, as when hopefully I think we're getting into the game. I heard it. Did you hear the countdown too, or am I crazy?
I haven't muted.
Okay, yeah. You know, well, the thing is, it is muted until it gets into the actual thing. I think we'll assume that's the case. But there's a time I'm gonna ask you to pause and unpause. We're not there yet because I need to get timing down. But either way, I'm excited. That tank battle is going to be a lot of fun. I think both of them did a really good job yesterday, and I don't think they got the opportunity to face each other properly yesterday either. So I'm going to be extremely excited to see that. But obviously, we'll have to see once more, as I'm trying to let the names pop back into my head for what I did and didn't see yesterday. Once we probably get into the... Actually, we are getting part of the thing, and I'm going to tell you to hit pause here in 3, 2, 1. I'll let you know where to do that. But hey, the stream's gonna catch up anyway, so that this is for y'all. We do this for you. I promise. All right,
so looks like,
get ready.
Looks like we're,
wait, 3, 2, 1, unpause.
So it looks like we're back to the... Looks like we're back to comps being kind of predetermined here. You guys see the Domina, May, Soj, Lucio, and Bap here. So a little bit more pokey playstyles coming out here, I really believe. You do have the May Ice Balls, which are going to be very important here as Kinos already shuts down Dark. Not the best start. The boot coming out there, not going to be able to find much, but you already see Santiago just pushing Valparaiso back.
Yeah, Keno's one of those players we didn't really see yesterday, so I'm excited to see what they can do over on the May to get things going. But it's going to be extremely interesting, nonetheless, to see what's going to happen here today. But either way, Santiago, again, going to start out with the point to get things going, as Bert, a nice later kill on to FX, is going to open up the door here to let this point go on to right here. Pun falling is not going to make that an easy task whatsoever. And Dark White T might be kissing their chances goodbye as Kenos gets dropped into the hole. This keeps the chances alive here. Bert is not going to let this happen for free.
No, Lamont wants to try to find them here, but now you're just going to be seeing this go on this off angle. Bert already finding 2 out here, and now it's just Kinos stalling out for as long as it can. Bert finding a 3rd, Bert finding a 4th, Bert finding a 5th there. Already just cleaning house, and Valparaiso, basically off the back of Bert, essentially takes the point right back. But you look at Bert, overclock ready to go, and I mean, Santiago, they will have the Amp Majors ready to go at some point this fight. But is it going to be enough to shut down Bert here? Because they just seem to have free... Oh, wow. Never mind.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll talk about Bert a little bit later after that one. But yeah, we're seeing Onward Dreams. Didn't get to get some of that Domina yesterday, but you're going to see more of it here. Surreal going to be cut off momentarily there, as LCS unfortunately biting the dust before they can get that sound barrier online. So we'll see where things kind of proceed from here as you're trading out the tanks a little bit. Dream to let that Panopticon go. It's only going to catch on to one, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to find maybe a ton of value right here as you eventually go down. But the rest of the team's trying to come in and make a fight happen. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Mont rotating back to their own side of the map right now as Valparaiso back in control of the point here. But you look at Valparaiso, 4 ultimates to their name. Santiago gonna have only 3 here. Blitzer could be very important in this fight. You could really use it early here if you're Pun to try to force that beat out from EFX here, just to maybe have a little bit more options when it comes to the rest of your ultimates here, as you already see Santiago on that high ground.
Yeah, and you already lose out on Zybe and FX pretty early on here, but so LCS has the beat if they want to be aggressive, but they're defending at the end of the day. They can chill out. Santiago are the ones that have to come down to them and take this level of aggression right here. And you see Lamont open things up with that overclock. Target shot right in the head. Big freeze coming through to separate. Unfortunately, it's not going to do a whole lot. His point going to flip back over. It's sound investment as LCS sends Lamont flying. As 40% on the board for them now. Honestly, that's well timed the way they took that fight.
I mean, I feel like Lamont more than anyone else would understand. LCS, if they see you near an edge, they immediately become a heat-seeking missile, basically. Bert, they're going to fall right there as Santiago does take control back of the point here. Only has the Blizzard ready to go right now for Kino. Surreal, though, not far away from another Amp Matrix. Zybe, though, dying pretty early on in that last fight. Never got to use their Amp Matrix. Panopticon also ready here for Dark. So Valparaiso does have some good tools here to use right now, but you're really looking for Bert to try to get on an off angle here to open some stuff up, but it looks like they're traveling in a group right now up to that high ground.
Yeah, they 100% are, and Bert going to get the better of Lamont. You see the Panopticon set out. It does catch on to at least one right there as Dream's trying to break out of it. Will be able to do so, and Bert making the Bert show happen once more. Has gotten rid of 2 point. Gonna flip back over, and now for Santiago, it is becoming a mess right now as you need to try to get somebody on this point, but Lamont is gonna have to try to just chuck their body on.
I mean, Lamont's gonna have to do something here. If you're LCS, you're trying just to play a little bit of goaltender here. Make sure no one gets it. But Pun finding Lamont, gonna make sure that there's no touches there. Again, another good back and forth between the teams there. I think again, a lot of it comes down to, in some of these fights, just Bert hitting shots. It seemed like in every fight they won after they gave up the point, Bert found 3 at least to get going there. But Santiago, they had opportunities. Lamont was able to shut down Bert, I believe, once or twice, really give their team a good opportunity. FX, Surreal, still doing a good job on that support line here as we see the intel coming in. Looks like it's gonna be Hazard, Tracer, Vendetta, Kiri, and Wu Yang going into our second map, or second point of this map here. And I like this idea from the coaches here. Again, Hazard, a little bit of that dive brawl kind of hybrid there. I think it actually works very well with the Vendetta. You just don't see it that often. You need to be very coordinated in this composition though, because you could have the Tracer come in there, clean up some of those fights or some of those dives, but that support line as well. Very mobile, at least on the Kiri. The Wu Yang is a little bit more predictable though, because once you get rid of the title dash, I believe it's called, you kind of have Wu Yang sitting in a spot where they're almost a sitting duck, essentially, there. So I think right now, the idea for both these teams is dive straight onto the Wu Yang. Try to get them out pretty early on in a lot of these engagements.
Yeah, 100%. You would love to be able to pull it off every fight if you could be able to do so. But as we're getting set into things here, there's gonna be a very specific level of aggression when you have obviously something like the Tracer, the Vendetta, the Hazard, which unfortunately Santiago is without now, as Kano's trying their best to stay alive, survive as the point's going to open up, get them any health back, see if that's going to be enough to keep them going, as Bert trying to find them unfortunately gets a little lost and gets taken care of, as it looks like the Valparaiso supports trying to keep them in this one. They're just probably going to have to regroup here instead.
Yeah, and this is one of those rare moments where we're seeing Lamont and Bert not play hit scans. This is a composition without a hit scan. So you're seeing them have to go over to those flex DPS, especially Tracer, which is one where we know a lot of players specifically only play flex DPS when they do it. It's just Tracer. And I don't know how well Lamont and Bert are on this hero. So it's going to be very fun to see that throughout the night here. But Santiago in a good spot right now. They're going to be just playing that high ground here, waiting for Valparaiso to make the first move before they follow back with a dive of their own. But Dark finds Kinos early.
Yeah, that's going to be a little rough to pull that one back around and try to hold on. You can stall for quite a while, but Dreams is going to need some care here and stay alive. Unfortunately, this backline is getting pressured, throwing around Surreal, doing their darndest to play some Dead by Daylight and survive out there. It's just not going to happen as Dreams double kill to get this fight finished off here. Bert making the way back in, has a pulse bomb in hand as things not going as smoothly as maybe once anticipated right here, as Keno's trying to get back into this fight, but Valparaiso is going to be able to take over. 48% though, online for Santiago.
I think Surreal maybe lived a little bit too long there in that engagement. But, I mean, hey, I think Bert holding on that pulse move there is a really smart move by them. They understood the fight was over. Investing it onto maybe just Dreams to get them out, I think would have not been the best move here, because, hey, you could throw it on the Kinos, you could throw it on Surreal, force that Suzu out early here. As you already see LCS, I believe, use a Tidal Blast on themselves just to make sure they stay alive here.
I know, 110%, and honestly, I like it. Why not? Try to do your best to do so. But LCS and Surreal both end up going down, so this is becoming a little rough right now as Santiago's trying to survive best they can. And they're doing, honestly, a really good job of it right now. Dreams Lamont still hanging around, trying to find their own picks, but it's down to Bert versus Dreams, as Dreams is going to run to the point here, try to force a cap, but unfortunately, LCS is coming back, and Santiago, I don't think is going to be able to do this one.
No, they're not. They got to quickly fall back and regroup, but they have Kitsune Rush, Tidal Blast, Downpour ready to go here. So this could be a really quick regroup and then just immediately go right back in. Probably starting off with that Kitsune Rush from FX.
Yeah, 100%. You'd love to be able to do so as Pun gets the better of Kenos to get things started over here, and Santiago looking to take back this point, or lose this point pretty quickly, unfortunately. While Bert is kind of stunned down and will be taken care of, it's not looking like they're going to be able to clutch it back out right now. FX doing their darndest to kind of prove me otherwise right now. So we'll love to see how things go down, but Dream struggling to stay alive, eventually going to be burnt down. Valparaiso should be able to keep that restabilization, but Stick goes on. Is Dark lucky to live an extra second or two, but eventually will be taken down, and this fight is so back and forth.
I think right now, if you're Valparaiso, you just kind of stay on this point. You know this fight's basically lost here, but stay on it as long as you can. Maybe not invest in anything. However, Pun, they want to invest.
You would absolutely love to, and that's what they're going to try to do right here. Pun is down earlier in this fight, and they're going to get to 99%, but at this point on, I don't think Bert's going to invest this pulse bomb. I think you assume this fight is done and dusted right here, and as you're kind of hanging around Lamont, no pulse bomb in hand yet. Bert has theirs if you have that time to come back, but eventually we force back as Santiago can finally restabilize.
Yeah, and right now, Santiago going to just have to be able to take a deep breath here. That was a heavy fight investment there, or heavy ult fight investment there from them. You look over at Valparaiso, pulse bomb, tidal blast, ready to go almost immediately. FX though, considering it's not that far away, that could really get them going here in this fight, just to get them something early on, hoping that the rest of their team really builds up the stuff.
Oh, yeah, 100%, and that's a funny thing right there. But it's going to be really exciting to see here as obviously proceeding forward. You see in this scenario, it's going to come down to the final fight. Territory, LCS, and Dreams both were practically gone earlier on. But now this is going to be rough to pull back without your tank available. But again, they're trying to prove me wrong. They're trying to keep these going. But Pun going to get the 2-for-1 special. Woo! As Pulse Bomb almost takes Lamont back out, but is able to stay alive as Downpour comes through and is going to be able to barely escape it. It's Lamont's world. We're living it, and unfortunately, Dark does not want to be there.
Yeah, Dark, though, they invested the Downpour. They're trying to think that if they got rid of Lamont, they would be able to end the map. Dark, they're going to be able to find Surreal now. They just need to clean up this fight. It looks like they're going to be able to do just that.
Yeah, 100% right here. And now, let's see if there's any other touches. We are going to get it momentarily as Kenos makes their way over. Going to try to grab the Mega Health Pack. As you see the slipping right there from FX. Great for them to kind of stagger on one at a time. Unfortunately, again, it's just not going to be enough. Valparaiso will be able to take this map away. But you already see the comp that are coming in for the next map. Dia, Freya, Tracer, Kiri, Lucio. So very, very fast comps coming online here.
Yeah, again, we go from playing a little bit more of a dive poke kind of hybrid there to now just essentially straight dive out right now. Yeah, you have the Freyas there for both sides, but like you said, these are fast compositions that are coming out. These are compositions that really want to be able to get from point A to point B very, very quickly here, while you're looking at Bert and Lamont to be the ones kind of hanging back at point A for a little bit before going to point B. They want to be able to have those off angles to really push the rest of this team into the rest of the other team into bad spots so that their team is able to find those good ones here right now. But I mean, hey, Valparaiso, no matter what the result is of this map, will get their first victory of the night, I believe that is. But good for at least that side. But right now, I think you're still seeing a lot of great play come out from people. I think I was going to tell you about the title thing as well, but you noticed it.
Yeah.
But again, I've been very impressed with Dark. I've been very impressed with Pun. I think Pun's been absolutely insane so far this map. And when we see the stats come back up again, another player I want to give a quick shout out to, actually LCS. He's the support that's died the least, actually the person who's died the least amount in the lobby. 4 times for them, while you look at the support line for the other side, dying 9 times each.
Yeah, 100%. It's a little rough earlier on right here as LCS and FX going to be traded out respectively to start this fight early on. As at least for the time being, you're seeing Pun again keeping up what Pun is able to do. Unfortunately, without Zybe, it's going to get a little more difficult, but apparently they're happy to keep proving me wrong as Surreal is going to take a nice little dive right there. And for the time being, Valparaiso should be able to stabilize, but FX comes in like a bat out of hell and manages to touch. Unfortunately, will not result in anything.
I mean, Dreams at least could be able to keep them alive there. It would have been devastating to lose your Lucio that early on in the fight, because you would have just had to say, okay, we'll be back in about 15 seconds. But now you're seeing them come back in very quickly. And look at Pun, already 75% to a pulse bomb. Normally we're talking about bolus shots, but Pun absolutely going off on the Tracer.
Oh, absolutely right now. Trying to keep these going best as they can here. 25% already on the board as Pun has that pulse bomb ready to go. LCS though getting the better of Lamont. And now at this stage of the game, Dreams locked out of the mech. Santiago's fight is going to be over once more, as Valparaiso is going to be able to clean up the fight once again, and in the process, don't lose anybody either.
Don't lose anyone. Pun's still holding on to the pulse bomb. LCS, Bert, Dark, not that far away from their own ultimates here. Granted, you look over at Santiago, they're going to have a pulse bomb, probably a Kitsune Rush as well at some point in the middle part of this fight, but if Pun throws that pulse bomb out pretty early on and gets rid of the Suzu, you could see Valparaiso come right back and play very quickly here. But again, you're looking right now for someone on Santiago to be able to open it up, find that opening pick, as Bert I mean, has just been doing great on this Freya so far.
I mean, has been phenomenal right now. FX, obviously trying to keep them in this one. Solo Bolo comes out onto them as I say their name, and they disappear, unfortunately. And for Santiago, again, another fight going to go to the wayside, and they're only going to have one more left. And with Dream's out of the mech, Dream needs to jump off that cliff ASAP.
Yeah, jump off the cliff, plane traffic. Don't do that in real life. But again, right now, Santiago, this has not looked like their best point. I mean, last point was a lot more competitive, but look at them now. All 5 ultimates ready to go. Last fight here, FX needs to use that beat to keep themselves alive here. 2 ultimates already out from Santiago. They need to get something going towards point.
Yep, and they're going to be able to get the touch here momentarily. 99%, it comes through. Pun. Early Elim, though, putting themselves in great shape as that Consider Rush slowly going to run out. Bomb thrown in the middle of nowhere. Shouldn't catch on to anybody. Remech comes through as while Dreamers get back into the mech, they are immediately knocked out. And with that, Lamont maybe gets a last-second touch, but no, that's going to be that cleared. 100-0 to end that one. The squad coming in, I mean, honestly, just looking fantastic, quite frankly. Had a ton of momentum. And when I was talking about Dark and what they were able to do earlier yesterday, no exaggeration.
Yeah, no, I'm going to agree with you right there. This is the first time I've seen them. They looked great in this performance here. But one thing I wanted to really look at there was the stats at the end. I can't look at them anymore right now. But one thing I really did notice, everyone on the side of Santiago died at least 12 times. I mean, that just kind of shows you how good that Valparaiso team was actually doing that round at being able to really coordinate their dives, really coordinate who their targets were, and just being able to find people early on. Granted, I feel like a lot of people on that Valparaiso team had played on the same team in the past, and you saw there that communication seemed very, very good. Dark, I think, was a big impressment for me there. Same thing with Pun. Second map we've seen them here tonight. First map was good. I think the second map was even better for them.
Yeah, I 100% think it was. I mean, again, I think another ability or another thing that's really important to take into consideration when you're doing these trials is what someone's ability is to bounce back from, obviously maybe not having the best start, whether it is bouncing back over the course of a series or over obviously just an entire map. It's really important to see if they improve, if they get better. It's like, hey, they did all right, first round, but you go round 3 and it's like, dude, they're getting like 3 picks every fight. Like you can't exaggerate at that point. It's like they're just shutting people down, and it's been fantastic to see, quite frankly. But obviously we're already halfway through this trial for day 2. I love how everybody's looking right now. A lot of players that I didn't get to see do a whole lot yesterday are coming in and looking great today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Lamonso had their moments. Keynotes, I think, struggled probably the most of anyone on the side of Santiago. Honestly, and I hate saying that, but I just feel like they did. And again, I want to just give Pun credit here because the 3 heroes they play throughout this entire map, I thought they did a really good job on. You go to the Mei, you go over to the Vendetta, and then you go over to a Tracer. 3 very different play styles, and I thought they did excellent on them. I thought they really did. I like seeing the Hazard actually from both teams. I think Dark and Dreams really showed us that they can be flexible, especially on a hero like Hazard, where you kind of have to have that flexibility already kind of built into the playstyle for them. Did a really good job. FX Surreal, I thought they did enough in certain fights, but again, like I said at the end, everyone on Santiago died over 10 times, while Valparaiso, on the other hand, I believe the most was 7, maybe 8 deaths for them. So like you're seeing the difference there in well, and maybe a little bit of play styles, and sometimes it's just a difference in how some players and teams end fights. Some players just say, okay, I'm just gonna run into the sweet release of death, or they're gonna run back to spawn if they possibly can right there. So that's sometimes something you need to look at. But again, a really good map for that Valparaiso team. I think a lot of good things to say about that side. I think there's still a lot of good things to say about Santiago's side. I think you want a little bit more out of some of those players as well.
Yeah, it's 100% something you want out of these players, ultimately. And obviously, there's a lot more to show us with us only being halfway through. So we're going to get a chance to see these players a lot more. I think there's quite a number of players that we haven't seen yet either. Obviously, there's been a lot of people going in and out, so it's hard to internally keep track of how long is this person in, how many is this person in, has this person come in yet. So it's going to be exciting to see here as obviously highlights playing right now. We'll see who's getting into this fourth map here in a short period of time. But it'll be exciting to see ultimately, because so far we've been able to see an extreme wide range of different comps, different players. But again, that's what you need to see at the end of the day. You're not going to get much if we have the same 10 players in playing, Zarya Vendetta the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always do have to say this because we do have a list of the players who are trying out. And if we don't see one here tonight, it's not saying like, hey, they're already not on the team. It's just availability sometimes. I mean, Hunter, me and you were, let's just say we're supposed to cover Team Poland and some of their tryouts throughout this week. And unfortunately, both of us, the days that we were signed up to do that, there weren't enough players available to do the tryouts that day. So again, if you don't see some people here tonight, it might just be they weren't available tonight. But I will say this, LCS staying in for the fourth map, they have not been out yet. So they're getting a lot of play time right now, which really leads me to believe that maybe some of the support players that are on our list aren't available here tonight, because I feel like we've been seeing a lot of support players here. I believe we saw Miz coming back in on tank. I didn't catch any of the other names as well. I don't remember if we were going to Saravasa or not. Was it Saravasa?
I would love to sit here and be able to tell you and sound like an expert, but I can't. I could not genuinely tell you where we're going to.
Let me gaslight you into thinking it's Saravasa.
Yeah, we're gonna gaslight everybody. If it's not Saravasa, I'm not promising y'all anything. But one thing I do know is it's gonna be exciting to see a lot of these players back in. Seeing LCS still out here, it shouldn't be I mean, honestly, a big shocker. Either way, I think LCS has been a really consistent player. Has been one of the players we've seen the most in terms of Chile nationality over the course of the last 8 months, and they've been competing at some of the highest levels down here in South America. But to be fair, you can also say that for a lot of the Chile players that we have seen throughout the day. So it's obviously hard to sit here and be like, oh, we're rooting for these people, but we're rooting for everybody at the end of the day. We want the best 7 players, whether it's the ones that we know very well, maybe the ones we don't really know at all.
Oh, it's Kings Row.
We want the best 7 representing, as Kings Row is, Servas is looking really weird nowadays, I gotta be honest.
It's a little bit more British than I remember. But out of the gate, I mean, you immediately see Santiago go straight over to that really strong composition right now, Zarya, Vendetta. I mean, basically the meta composition, while Valparaiso, on the other hand, still, I think, trying to get this Domino to work out here a little bit. Kinos on this Reaper as well. One hero I think you really have to look at when going up against the composition that Santiago is running. I think it's one that actually does a really good job shutting down both the Zarya and the Vendetta.
Yeah, it's really good at shutting it down right now. But for the time being, those two are still alive. The only two alive, as eventually, while Volition is shutting bodies down almost single-handedly, they just have LCS hanging around. So you kind of have to just chill out, bide your time, try to get the rest of your team back, which will be back a little quicker.
Yeah, they will be back a little bit quicker here. So if you're Santiago, you want to have this be a really quick re-engage. You already see Volition go straight in.
Yeah, you're to see a big level of aggression with Volition, over on this Vendetta to kind of get things going right here. Already gotten the first tick online right here. As Dreams is so close to going down already. Gonna walk in there, but Miz overplaying their hand just a little bit. Will be taken out, and this should allow for Valparaiso to be able to close things out on this fight. It took a hot minute, but they should be able to do so. Dreams, though, needs to not go down, and unfortunately they do, and this is gonna open the door wide back open.
Lamont, I think, is going to slow down Santiago here a little bit, finding Volition there. However, you do see Miz coming right back out, so they might still have to push this here a little bit. Domina, not the fastest hero in the game, so you want to go here. You already have 1 tick. You have a beat online, but you look over at the other side, Hunter. Almost everything going to be online for them this fight. This could be a pretty heavy ult investment here, but Volition gets rid of Zybe early. Yeah,
and the beat has to be used to sustain through it all at the end of the day, and unfortunately, Valparaiso not going to get anything here. You go ahead with the Panopticon. Unfortunately, it's going to stem the bleeding for a few seconds, but it's not going to stop it, as ends up just being a bit of a bandage, as Volition getting to is awesome, as they're going to finish out that fight. 4:20 on the clock here. We'll see if there's any swaps on board his Dreams. He's going to change over to match the Zarya.
Yeah, again, I think in this competition right now, especially with Zarya, you have to be able to match it. Does Kinos make the swap over to the Vendetta after they use their Death Blossom or after this life here? That's going to be the question you have to ask now. But I have to say this. I feel like Vendetta inside the Consumer Rush is a little bit unfair. At times, we saw Volition find a lot of value there in that last fight. But I like what Valparaiso is actually doing here. They had to fall back for a brief moment, and now they're pushing back up as the grab comes out.
Yeah, and they just eliminate Dreams with that. That's just the sole goal. And now with the tank gone, you can push up 4 members and force everybody back. But with that being the case, everybody else looks like they're going to get out alive. Kinos is going to be able to get out alive as well. And now you're going to have that Death Blossom on, which we know Death Blossoms, they are very hit or miss.
Very hit or miss, but you look over the other side now for Santiago. No beat, only a Kitsune Rush really at their disposal to maybe be able to slow it down here. So if you're able to get behind the team, Kinos could actually find a decent amount of value here. However, they need to be alive.
Ooh. Yeah, and Kinos is going to go for that Death Blossom. Got rid of 1, so keep chances alive here. Lamont, though, finding some picks of their own. Almost got that second one, not quite. Going to be able to find it as FX and LCS going to be able to care for each other. Miz just needs to focus on staying alive, maybe trying to catch out Surreal, who is trying to do their best 80 strafe impression right now. But Lamont is being given the fight. These supports are not messing around as they're trying their darndest. Unfortunately, Lamont holding on just barely as Miz gets 3, and that fight should be done.
Yeah, that fight is done and dusted right there for Santiago. But Valparaiso gonna try to come back out. Kinos, I mean, I understand the idea there for Valparaiso. But, Hunter, you have to agree, maybe just fall back?
Maybe a little tiny bit, I don't know.
Okay, let's
But
never do the
they
high
try.
Again, that was a terrible idea by me.
just a little bit, man. Can't lie.
Yeah. But, I mean, look at Santiago right now. They're going to have 3 ultimates ready to go here pretty early on. But, oh, Lamont, you needed that pick to give Valparaiso some momentum here. Kitsune Rush also out from Zybe here right now.
Yeah, and Nika is just, I can't say one of the most ideal places in the world. He's technically going to be Dream's kill with the reset off there, and that's going to honestly not do as much for the ult charge as I would have thought. But at the end of the day, Miz is the one that's going to have this beat on, or not this beat, this Graviton Surge up first.
Yeah, grab, beat, and the Kitsune is about to be ready here for Santiago. They can go very fast here. The only thing for Valparaiso right now that slow it down would be that Orbital Ray, but that's something I didn't think had a problem with last time.
Yeah, not really. Another pulled in, and without any beat, they are just getting annihilated right there. Surreal is going to run for the hills, and you're going to see, yeah, Surreal is just not going to get out alive here. Lamont takes the easy assist and gets out of there. They'll be able to reset for more fight and hopefully get up to that Graviton Surge.
Oh, they're going to be able to get up to that grab because, look, Santiago, they dumped into that last fight. Beat, overclock, Kitsune Rush, grab, all came out there. Now they're kind of at a bad spot right now as Lamont finds Volition. Valparaiso is actually in a good spot here.
Yeah, great spot. Miz not going to get out alive with all that delicious charge as reset comes through as Dreams does now have this up online. Graviton Search for this next fight. And into this next fight, it's rough to think of what you're going to do as a solution for this.
Pray. Essentially. Yeah. That's it. That's it. But right now, Valparaiso, like I said, they're in a good spot because Santiago over-invested into that last engagement that they had here. So, again, you don't want to use both these ultimates at one time if you're Valparaiso, but, you know, maybe one will do you.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit as Lamont gets to on the fight. Looking fantastic again as the momentum has kind of come down to a screeching halt for Santiago. It feels like they're going to have some ults coming up here, like the Stunning Blade, like the Overclock, to hopefully start getting that progress going again.
Yeah, I mean, we got to pause.
Raggy.
I mean, but I think we started to see a little bit of a change and maybe momentum there. I think Valparaiso has really been able to find their footing here for the most part. And again, it came off a little bit of an overinvestment by Santiago to give them that, but you have to take that when you get it. We've definitely seen some teams in the past really just not be able to take advantage of an overinvestment by the other team and kind of just get rolled over. But Valparaiso doing exactly what they need to do there. They're playing smart, one ultimate investment at a time now. Let Santiago be the one that has to invest more than one ultimate into these fights. You just have to be responding now in a lot of these engagements. Again, you're playing defense. There's only about 2 minutes left, maybe a minute and a half left for Santiago to finish this map or finish this round. So again, I think Valparaiso has been able to kind of solidify themselves on this defensive side.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping for. And obviously with I think it was about like a minute 45 left on that clock, I think, before things went to the pause. It's going to give you a good amount of time still. 2 minutes is still a pretty decent amount of time to get something going, especially as you have the double DPS ultimates available with the Overclock and the Sundering Blade. It's going to give you a good chance, but we're ready to get back into this one, as Hunter was not prepared for it, but we are ready to go here as... What is the oh?
Nika had overclock. Nika was the one that disconnected.
Man, that is rough. So Volition's going to have to work for 2 of them on this one. And to be fair, it does their job. Kinos is gone. Lamont is going to try to pull this one back a little bit here. It's going to force everybody to back out a little bit, so it is going to give time for Kinos to get back.
Yeah, it really is, but Mika losing that overclock right there, it's going to be very costly to Santiago, but Volition dying that early, but you immediately trade out with Dreams. I think you'll take that.
I mean, every day you take that. Why not? Nika gets rid of 2, though. He's starting to bring momentum back over to Santiago, and with Surreal not getting out alive, I struggle to think they can pull this one back as Kenos wants to try to get a touch. Dream's going to try to run out there. They're barely going to get bodies out there. Considering Rush going to be used as well. Surreal going to try to get back as soon as possible as well. It is so imperative. But again, Nika finds another one on this fight. LCS hanging around, trying to find some bodies. Surreal is back, but it's not going to matter here as the last one to go down with 34 seconds on the clock here for Santiago. Again, they get stopped for a pretty long period of time here on 3rd point, but once they get the momentum back, they completely shut down Valparaiso.
Yeah, once they capped point 1, they never really had a problem on point 2. I think they just kind of pushed straight through that and were able to do a really good job there. But again, a little bit of an overinvestment. You had it both your support ultimates and a grab for Santiago, and after that, it just almost fell apart. You saw Valparaiso take that little mistake from them and just add on to it, really find a good kind of play style for them, able to solidify their defense a little bit there. And yeah, 34 seconds. You would rather see them not complete the map of Valparaiso, but 34 seconds is definitely doable here now for Valparaiso. It just depends on how good they really do the second point. Yeah, you have to cap the first point, but if you get caught on that second point, Hunter, we've seen it really end a lot of good attacks in the past, and it could be something that definitely happens here. But now look at this. Coming out on the offensive side, Dreams not going to be showing us the Domina that we saw them start out with last round on the defensive side. Instead, it's going to be back over to the Zarya here, where I think if given the choice at this point, Zarya is almost going to be the choice that we're seeing all these tanks play when they have that option. But other than that, no big shocks here. Surreal sticking with the Juno is very interesting. Me and you have seen this a lot for some teams, especially here in the South American region where Juno is a little bit more popular than Lucio for some. I think it's a little bit more damage potential that you want with the Juno here for them. And Valparaiso, they're not lacking in damage, but hey, if you can get a little bit more DPS from your support line, you'll gladly take it.
You 110% will every single time. One. Well, being over on this Widow, at least momentarily, is going to be really exciting to see. We'll see if it gets any inherent value, as already everyone's had to pull around the corner, bubble onto Volition to try to get a little damage, make a little bit more space. It's going to at least accomplish that momentarily, but Volition needs to be kept alive. I think it's given that bubble the last second to stay going right now, as Nico wants to find somebody peeking their head out, but almost nobody's willing to do so. And honestly, after playing that last round, who can blame you?
Yeah, I mean, especially right now, neither one of those support heroes for Santiago wants to poke their heads out for that reason right there.
Oh, that's rough right there. Lamont, he should be able to help just clear things out from here. Ms. Nika, LCS still kind of hanging around respectively, but they're going to at least get 2 ticks here, and this is going to be a struggle to try to pull this one back, but it looks like they're going to try. They're sending bodies at it, but unfortunately, no touch available, and if you lose anybody, holding this point right here, this archway is going to be rough. Oh my god.
Well, you've already lost 2. I was going to say, you're probably going to lose LCS considering they're at attacker spawn. And then again, we've seen Lamont be able to be this excellent hit scan in the past. Just finding these opening picks right there are essentially the second pick in that fight. Look at what it does to Santiago, forcing them all the way back as Valparaiso now trying to find more here, but FX decides to invest.
And honestly, I don't hate it. Dream goes down, and now because of that, you're going to eventually see them run for it. You can still have to say group together as 5, play safely. And while you don't get rid of Kinos right here, the important thing is that Dream loses all that charge, and you can go back to playing at the archways, which is so unbelievably important. But hopefully Volition does not overplay their hand, and it feels like Santiago is overplaying as grab thrown out. It doesn't get anything ultimately, and now Dreams throws their own back in. Volition is given everything under the sun, but eventually just gets deleted.
You know what? I don't feel like if you're Santiago here, you're not necessarily hating how this fight's going here. You use grab, but you also force Valparaiso to use their grab, their Kitsune, their Sundering Blade. I mean, you got a lot out of basically just a door touch there, or a spawn touch. Hey, you're absolutely happy with how that fight went. Yeah, you're going to lose it and give up all the space back to Santiago, but you know you're going to have a little bit better ultimates coming into this next engagement here, especially as Lamont is using Visor at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. Getting those sites going, as Lamont obviously would love to take someone like Nika's head off at this very moment, give themselves this big opportunity to burst through. But here comes the sound barrier to break them through. Valparaiso going to try to back up, but Dreams cannot be kept alive right here. Is everyone else just going to have to back out, wait for the Zarya to get back.
And again, I talked about here, the second point push. If you have Valparaiso, you almost essentially needed to really match what Santiago did, which was really not lose a fight, because we've seen some good pushes in the past kind of fall apart here in Streets phase. And right now, if you have Valparaiso, it's not necessarily falling apart just yet, especially Lamont finds FX out again, and now Surreal. I feel like this is a little bit of an early investment.
I mean, 110% it is, but Volition and LCS buying their own picks. This is going to open up that door once again to commit a good hold here. Obviously, Dreams is still up here. If they invest, Dreams could lose out again on all that delicious charge. And in fact, I don't think anything's going to save them from this situation here, as they will go down. So once again, Valparaiso feels like they get something going and unfortunately get cut down at the knees.
Yeah, and again, I'm going back to that Orbital Ray usage there by Surreal. I mean, you already found an opening pick there from Lamont, who now goes over to the Cassidy. I wonder why you invested at Arches. Okay, Kinos.
Yeah, I mean, that's that is a little something right there, as again, Santiago do kind of have the extra member, as Nika, to be fair, is going to take a hot minute to get back. Lamont obviously over on that Cassidy, seeing what they can do there instead, and honestly, I like the adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, the Cassidy, we've seen Lamont play a little bit earlier on in this series as well, and they look good on it here, but you want the Cassidy to try to slow down Volition. Flashbang will at least stun them for a brief moment, which is where you want to be able to really get rid of them here early on. But now if you have Valparaiso, that time bank, you're looking at here less than 2 minutes. You really have to be smart here now.
Absolutely have to be right now. Nika wants to find something here. Everyone's pulling the corner, though. No one wants to pop their head, and Volition is going to be the first one to get the pick, actually, as Kinos has to take the reset. Was so close to that Sundering Blade, as Valparaiso has hit more than a metaphorical wall at this point. It is a very literal wall here, as Dreams again has to reset.
And Zai falling there late, not going to be helping the cause right now, but look at Santiago grab both support ultimates ready to go. However, you look at Valparaiso, they're about to have all 5 of their ultimates here ready to go again, but you need to break through. I would love to say, hey, you can win a fight not using any, as Miz uses the grab early on yet again.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And now FX, Volition, Nika, all getting involved with the kill feed. The full team wipe comes through, and it is all Santiago right now. Only a minute left, but there is a fistful of ults ready here for Valparaiso to fight back.
Yeah, and they need to get going now. They need to be able to use one. They need to force out the support ultimates here from Santiago to give themselves a chance to really even get back to the card and get the second point.
Yeah, absolutely need it right now. 40 seconds left on the clock here, but again, they're still getting finished off. And we see this happen not a lot. We see this in GOATs, honestly, a lot of the time, where teams will play up super aggressively like this and not give them a chance to get out.
Yeah, absolutely here. And again, holding on to all 5 ultimates here, you might have to invest all 5 ultimates right now if you're Valparaiso just to get out. Kinos shuts down LCS, Volition falls as well, and now you're seeing the ultimates come out here from Valparaiso.
Yeah, that you are right now. 15 seconds left on the clock. Only use the grab concert to do it, so honestly, great investment. You're going to be able to play on this corner pretty aggressively, either with the Orbital Ray or the Kitsune Rush. You have a lot to work with here, but it's LCS that is going to have to time this beat perfectly.
Yeah, the Orbital Ray, I think, is going to be the most important ultimate here for Valparaiso, because a lot of times, I feel like we've seen this map, it's been a little bit too far back for it to find a lot of value as the Sundering Blade shuts down Kinos.
Yeah, and it's back for the ready, and Valparaiso, they throw everything in. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough. Finished off, Kinos doesn't even get out that Sundering Blade, as Santiago takes another map. They look fantastic. I mean, again, Miz coming in here looking really good as well. But it's a fantastic result for them. At the end of the day, to be fair, this happened yesterday. It didn't matter who was on what team sometimes. It was always Santiago winning most of the maps. It was never down to a specific player. It just kept happening. I called it a curse for the longest time, and it's kind of alive here today as well. But obviously, going more into perspective of what we actually saw here on King's Row, I think it was all extremely impressive. To be able to hold that second point for as long as they did, to be able to fight back and get that archway push initially, that's really important, because without that, I don't know if they get the opportunity to hold it for that entire length.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I just don't know if they would have been able to do that. But one brief thing on the curse here. I mean, hey, just a joke. Maybe we're figuring out which capital city of Chile is the better capital city. After tonight, as Santiago, like I said, have been really impressive here. No matter who's playing on it, maybe it is a curse, Hunter. Maybe it is, but again, I think Santiago, they played very in sync throughout this entire map here. You can see that the players on this one, especially Miz and Volition, very important on the Zarya Vendetta kind of play style or this composition to be very, very in sync with each other. And you saw there a lot. They were finding so much value. Valparaiso, on the other hand, Dreams, again, really likes to try to get this dominant going here. And if they can actually get it going, I would love to see it. I would love to see it a little bit more here. But them going over to the Zarya, I think was able to match Miz at times, maybe even be a little bit better. But you saw there on that attacking phase of round 2 for Valparaiso, where Miz kind of was just able to always get charge built up a little bit quicker, be able to hold on to it a little bit better as well.
You mean, yeah, 100%. And it's been really impressive to see from Volition on this Vendetta. Honestly, we saw it a lot yesterday as well, what they can do over on the Vendetta, and it was nothing short of impressive. Being able to, obviously, we know it is the Vendetta. We know how strong the Vendetta is, but still, being able to come in here on the characters that are very strong and be able to still be impressive on them, it's important at the end of the day. It truly is. But I love to see it. It's impressive. Obviously, Volition's been pretty consistent throughout the day as well. But I think it's worth talking about, obviously, everybody that we've kind of saw in this game. I mean, the backlines, I think, are really important to talk about. Cyril and Zybe, I think, worked really well together. I think, unfortunately, got shut down a little early at times, but I think we're pretty consistent in terms of together, in terms of making sure, hey, we need to make sure we both get out of here alive. Let's care for each other. And that is consistent in what you need out of a pair of supports.
Yeah, and like I said, I think maybe the only thing that any of the supports did wrong in this game would have been from Surreal. It seemed like a lot of the times they use those orbital rays, they use them just a little bit too far back, where their team wasn't able to get as much value from it as they possibly could. But at the same time, Santiago just did a really good job being able to counter the orbital rays very quickly. You saw beats come out, you saw grabs come out, really just trying to negate the value that comes from that orbital ray. So while Surreal had a little bit of a struggle that map, I still think led the lobby in healing on the Juno, which is very impressive, considering Kiriko was their partner as well, where you normally see Kiri just somehow have more healing than everyone else here. But EFX and LCS, you have to look at them and just say, like, hey, we kind of know what we were expecting to see from them here this map, and they really showed us that. They showed us exactly the type of play style you expect from them. They played very smart as well. But again, I think they're probably a little bit more comfortable with this team, because I feel like one of them has at least played with Volition in the past. Miz and Nika, though. Miz, I thought, again, showing us the Zarya again, looked incredible. Nika, I feel like was maybe a player we didn't talk about enough on Santiago. Found a lot of value with the Sojourn, and I think was one of the only players, or was the player in that lobby who died the least. Saw a brief lineup there for the next map. LCS still staying in here, has yet to sub out. So I do definitely think we're at a point here right now where we're seeing some players might just not be available here tonight, at least on that support line. I did not see the tanks, but I would assume 2 brand new tanks.
You would assume that, yeah, at the end of the day. We'll see, as my brain did not look over, because I'm a dummy dumb. But we'll see who it is here pretty shortly. But again, I'm excited to see as much as we have, as we are wasting absolutely zero time getting this next map, as we're getting things going over to one of my favorite maps, New Junk City.
And 2 different playstyles right now. You're still seeing the Zarya Vendetta composition right now for Santiago, but on the other side, Proper showing us the Ramatra, which you have to remember, when Zarya first starting to get strong, a lot of people would ban out the Ramatra because they looked at it as maybe a true counter to Zarya. But Bert, someone you need on this Valparaiso team, finds Zeus out early.
Yeah, it does, and now it's on the back of DKR to kind of keep them in this one. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone's going to be able to pull this one back, as Valparaiso get this one started strong here. Having Minokun back over on the Genji. Minokun showed a little bit of that yesterday. I think looked really impressive on it.
Yeah, and again, look at what that one first pick there did for Valparaiso. It just forced everyone back from Santiago because a lot of the playstyle really revolves around that vendetta at the moment here. So when you don't have them, you kind of have to fall back. I think a smart move by them, but they need to be able to keep Zeus alive, and Bert on this Cassie I think is going to be a big problem for them.
Oh, a massive problem for him. Absolutely. And now you're trying to build with something as Bert is already about to have this Deadeye at the ready, which is, no one is expecting it, by the way. Let's make that very clear right here, as now it's online. Dark has been pushed back extremely far. Them and Zeus very lucky to still be standing right here. And you're just waiting for the right opportunity to kind of burst through here and find something. As Bert lets that Deadeye go, it's going to force everybody into a very particular area, as it's going to cause everybody to sit at a standstill.
Yeah, and that just buys time there for Valparaiso here. Yeah, an early ultimate, but you look, both consumers about to be ready here for each side. So I would imagine once those are both here ready, they're both out. And yeah, that's the case. Both of them on the field.
Yeah, 100%, but Proper is going to be burnt down. Beat going to come through, and Santiago wants to win this fight. And to be fair, it's still back and forth. LCS and Zeus getting really low right now, trying to find something here to pull this one fully back. And since his last one alive, as you'll see the flip come through at 99%, it is a risky investment. And we see that a lot in this region, but in this instance, it works out.
I mean, hey, Santiago knew once they got rid of Proper, they had a good chance to win that fight there. So the investment from the beat from LCS, I think, was a smart one. But now you look at Valparaiso, Annihilation, Blade, beat ready to go here. So now there's no beat for LCS here to really negate that Blade, but I like the play coming out here from Santiago. Gonna be able to get rid of, actually no, Zeus falls.
Yeah, 100%, and now you're gonna cut through. Mino-kun helps get rid of a lot of bodies here, as they're gonna be able to push everybody back, reclaim the point, and all things considered, as Nika will fall there later, first point should be secure.
Yeah, Valparaiso keeping the momentum up here. And I almost thought we were going to be seeing Bert fall pretty early on there from Santiago. I don't disagree with the play they did there of really pushing up. They had grab, they had overclock, they wanted to take an early fight because they know if they got it there, you would be forcing Valparaiso into a point where you had to really say, hey, do we even try to go for the point again? But now Valparaiso in a good spot here. Annihilation online. Deadeye not that far away from Bert again. Their second one of the match already here. But Zeus about to have that Sundering Blade here. However, Dark.
Ooh, yeah. That's a rough flop this early on, and you're trying to move forward. Bert is trying to clear house. DKR so close to going down. He's able to stay up, but the rest of their team cannot stay the same, as again, Valparaiso gonna take over.
Valparaiso has just been able to find early picks here. And I think Dark maybe overextend themselves, over-push up. I understand want to be aggressive with this playstyle on the composition that they're running, but you still need to have your boundaries, because we've seen Bert just be able to find headshot after headshot here, and you look over at the stats. That says 43% accuracy, so you're almost saying like, hey, 1 out of every 2 shots, they're hitting.
Yeah, 100%, and as things continue onward, it's a little bit more of a messy fight right here. We're currently, I believe, in a 2v2 right now, as Mino-kun going to be able to cut some bodies down and help them restabilize once more. And again, Valparaiso, they're looking great right now. Proper, again, had a decent showing before, but I think looks really good on the Sumatra so far.
Yeah, and it's been able to shut down Dark, but I think at the same time, Dark's maybe just overextending themselves, over-pushing themselves here a little bit. And, I mean, we haven't even said DKR yet this entire round. I mean, the rest of Santiago is kind of falling by the wayside as the flank. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, insane. And now you're just trying to get a flip in the back line, and the point, unfortunately, not going to flip over. Bodies getting themselves on. LCS is trying to keep things going for him right now. Unfortunately, the question is, how much are you willing to invest to take this one back, especially as Bert's separated, gets taken down, Beat's going to come out. LCS is the only one to get it, though, as they're trying to hang around, trying to find something. Zeus trying to keep them in this one, as Consider Rush can be thrown out as well. They're giving everything to take this one back, just like they did before. They won it last time. Will they take it this time? Zeus is saying, yes, we are.
Yeah, even with LCS not getting the beat off to Zeus, Zeus was actually able to stay alive through all that there. Good plays by Santiago again to get the flip at 99, but they're almost back in the same situation as they were last time here, with Valparaiso is coming back in with a lot of ultimates, and they're trying to play aggressively here again, but they don't find Bert out.
No, do not, and that's rough right there. That could open up a massive door right there, but now you're having to go into the blade here without any beat. And I know a dry blade doesn't really sound menacing, but in the right situation, it 100% can be. We'll see what the case is, though, as you see Bert going to go around with that Deadeye. It's going to force everybody to back up and put themselves in an awkward situation. Now the Blade puts them all in one place together. It's a great use of the combination as Dark and Zeus fall apart, and that's going to be enough to collect this one up. DKR is going to get rid of one, make it 2 more, is trying to single-handedly keep their team going. It's just them and Nika around, though, as hoping to get the slide, unfortunately cannot make it back. As the hero play it almost was, unfortunately, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, Mina's going to be able to shut them down there. And DKR, I mean, hey, that was a good overclock finding Bert out as well, but you just needed one more person on your side there to really keep it going. Now, though, Valparaiso, again, we will play all 5 points. Let's get that out of the way right now. Even if Valparaiso wins this point, we're still going to be going on here. But they have Beat, they have Kitsune, they have the Annihilation ready to go here pretty early on. So they're in a good spot to really get set up on this point. Well, the only thing for Santiago, get to be the Blade, get to be the Sundering, or the grab of the Sundering Blade here for them. But Santiago set up on point here while it seems like, okay.
Yeah, that, okay, I mean, hi, Bert. We love you, Bert. Gotten rid of 3 as Proper going to help finish things off. And that 3rd point, not even worried about capping it, by the way. Eventually, they're going to send bodies for it. But, I mean, if there's someone that has impressed us so heavily throughout today, for me personally, throughout the weekend, Bert's been the man, genuinely.
I mean, they're currently 10-4, still hovering around that 50% shot accuracy. They've been having themselves a really great map on this Cassidy, and no one's really been able to slow them down just yet here. And look, already building up to their 4th Deadeye. The grab, though, out from Dark. Zeus with the Sundering Blade.
Yeah, and that combo has been deadly for quite a hot minute now as Bert, unfortunately, well, actually still finding bodies, but eventually does get taken out at 41% on the board. But again, even with a beat, that combo with a Sundering Blade and grab, that doesn't help you live unless it's timed absolutely perfectly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a very scary ultimate to be comboed up with. And it feels like it's been a long time since we've been able to talk about an ultimate that you combo up like that with grab and are at least guaranteed 1 or 2 picks, but we definitely have it back here again. Santiago, though, even with the investment, has 3 ultimates ready to go in this fight, but Valparaiso going to have 3 ready to go from the get-go.
Yeah, 100% right now. Proper going to move in, has the whole squad behind them. Minokun eventually going to cut everybody else down, though. And again, Minokun has been impressive throughout today as they're going to be able to cap the point over. And it's going to be at a crispy 67%.
Oh, I hate you. But I mean, right now, Minokun and Proper have done a really good job of just being able to preserve their lives here. Least amount of deaths in the lobby, both holding around 3 at the moment. LCS, they have Beat ready to go, and DKR wants to get started with the overclock.
Yeah, 100% they do, trying to make some space. Zaib senses Minokun, all of them dangerously low, and all of them back into the spawn room. This has been an extremely back and forth point right here as everybody shot down, flipped, coming back over to Santiago, and it's going to come down to this next play, and considering the ults that are online, this is going to come down to Minokun in this Blade.
And Santiago, again, just wanted to push straight up, try to take the fight first, take it really early on here. It hasn't worked out from the last 2 times we try to do it, but again, I see the value in doing this. You want to try to force some ultimates early, but it's not like you have ultimates in your back pockets here.
Yeah, Minokun going with the Blade.
They don't get a touch.
Yeah, to be fair, with how things were going, I don't know how much it would have mattered. Gets rid of 3, gets rid of 4. And you see, LCS does not want to become a statistic. He's going to try to get out of this one alive. He's in a rough situation, gets the bubble, though, so they'll be able to stabilize, as I believe the point is behind them. As, yeah, they're going to start heading over to the next one.
Yep, heading over to the Ducks right now. And, I mean, again, the Blade was good there for Minokun. They're going to be able to get set up on this point here first. We look over at Santiago. They have the Sundering Blade. They're not that far away from grab. Bert, not that far away from their 5th Deadeye here, but a Sundering Blade actually out early.
Yeah, it is out quite early. Doesn't get a whole lot, but Proper is just taking too much damage. Eventually, it's going to be cut down, and Santiago, again, going to restabilize here. We'll be able to start with this 4th point here. It's a little bit of stall, but at the end of the day, eventually, Senses and Minokun just not going to be able to pull that one back.
Yeah, and now you're really just seeing Santiago come alive in this map. LCS as well, firing the final 2 picks right there. Even with what this map has been for them, those are only their 6 picks of the map. Normally we see at least LCS try to be at least double that at this point here, but this is exactly what Santiago was looking for here. First time they've actually capped a point first. They have grab, they have beat, they have Kitsune. You look over at the other side, they're about to have beat as well, but Bert Again, Deadeye online for them, mostly going to be used as a zoning tool, but if it can find 1 or 2 people out, it opens up a lot of possibilities here for Valparaiso to play aggressively.
Oh, massively so. Absolutely does. And now, an important fight coming up online here. A Senses down early on, and now this is the goal for Santiago to go full forward. Unfortunately, Dark doesn't get the beat in time. The considered rush got brought in as well, so now, if you're Burt and Proper, you're trying to reset in time for one more fight, but if you lose Proper, this is going to be so tough to bring back.
And it's going to be tough for them to bring back. Zai might be able to just go rushing in to try to get a touch here because the spawns are actually relatively closer to them, but Burt now being harassed by 2 members. They will be able to find LCS, so at least a little bit of damage was done there. And you do see Zai going to be able to get a touch there, beat out from them. Actually, 3 members of Valparaiso here. This could be a fight.
It could be. Proper's going to be coming back eventually. Burt's obviously going to have the Deadeye in this next fight right now, but weird trade early on between Azive and Nika both going down. You see Proper is going to double down with the Annihilation. It's going to be enough to make this fight their own. DKR is going to get 1 on the way out, but unfortunately Dark is going to have to be hit with the reset here. As, again, it feels like every single point we've had a fight that goes to 99 that the other team just clutches back.
Yeah, I mean, Valparaiso playing really good there. And I think both me and you thought after they lost Proper early on, or really before that engagement, that was going to be it for them. It was going to be going to the next point no matter what. But Santiago, they invested heavily in that last fight. Look, I mean, they're only going to have Sundering Blade here pretty early on. The other side, a Deadeye that Burt's been holding on to. And Minu, remember, Blade last time found 4. The Deadeye out here now, and you see everyone scattering.
Yep, as you should in a situation like that. Get as far away as you possibly can from that. Zeus going to try to cut bodies down with that Sundering Blade. Doesn't fully work out yet, though, but you see Santiago beginning to pull this one back around, and now just the supports hanging about will die on the point, and that'll bring us over to a 5th and final one here to close things out on New Junk City.
Yeah, and hey, I said going into the 3rd point, we will play all 5 points no matter what, but Santiago making it that we didn't need to play all 5 points for no reason. Now we're playing it for a very good reason, for the map victory. And now, look, Burt getting off the cast, going over to the Freya instead here. A little bit of a late swap, but man, if it finds its value, it will do a lot for Valparaiso here.
Yeah, 110% it will. Trying to cut some bodies down as Mino-kun going to get them in right now. Cleanse online, but everything is falling apart regardless. Dark eventually going to fall here. As, yeah, that's going to be Valparaiso taking this 5th point to get things started. They use the Blade to do it, and now Santiago are coming up to the double support ultimates for this next fight, and the Graviton Surge.
Yeah, one fun thing I want to really give shout out to Santiago here. They've been able to really be able to build up their support ultimates at the same amount of pace here, because it seems like they always use them at the same time. Same thing with Dark. Those 3 heroes have been really building up ult charge as fast as they possibly can here, but Dark, they need a lot of help here.
Yeah, they will. They're pulled into that Graviton Surge, and Zai but taken care of very quickly without the supports. Valparaiso not set to survive for very much longer. Burt, the last one alive, obviously just going to go and try to die on the point. Only 43% on the board right here, and they use the Blade for that. But to be fair, you have the beat and the grab out, so you don't completely hate it.
No, you don't, and that's something you've seen from Santiago a lot this map. They've been always invested as support ultimate with the grab here. Consumer still ready to go. Same thing is about to be online here for Santiago, both their DPS ultimates. But Bola, Annihilation, you're about to have beat and Consumer's ready to go for Valparaiso as well. But again, Santiago wants to play fast.
Yeah, that they do right now. They're taking that aggression forward with that Kitsune rush, and yeah, Valparaiso going to be burnt down once more. Now you're in final fight territory. You've got great ultimates going to this fight, though, and Zeus dangerously close to going down there.
Yeah, and again, Santiago will still be playing up here. I would believe, surprised me if they would fall back, but no, they're going to still play up here. They want to build this up to 9-9 to 9-9 here, but I like what we're seeing from Valparaiso here. They're saying, hey, we're just going to go around. We're going to force a fight here near point. A Sundering Blade coming out from Zeus.
Yep, 100% wants to find a little something here. Doesn't get a whole lot, and Proper has to try to run them down. It doesn't work. Zybe has that beat coming back, but isn't going to need it right here. And Dex, this is going to come down to one final fight, and the ultimates, unfortunately for either side, are not plentiful.
I mean, you have beat for Zybe. LCS could build up to their own beat as well. So you're going to be looking here at who finds that opening pick, who finds first blood in this fight. Essentially, does Zybe use the beat early? Does LCS find the beat or build up the beat and use it before Zybe does? It's going to be very interesting here because, like you said, Hunter, final fight. I'm watching out for Burt maybe to land a couple take aim shots on someone.
100% you are. We'll see what the case is going to be right now. It's going to come down to this one. Just settle your map away. B already been used. LCS gets us out, but not in time for DKR to be stabilized. And now you're back into the 4v4. Someone needs to be cut down here. Minokuna's right around the corner from this Blade, but the team beginning to fall apart around them right here. Blade is ready. Gonna try to cut through bodies, but the bubble comes through at perfect timing as they will not be able to find anything. Santiago gonna be able to flip the point, and unfortunately, a touch is not in the cards.
And I believe I saw that there at the end, Zeus having 29 eliminations that map. I thought they did excellently throughout that entire map right there. Santiago reverse sweeping this map here to take it is incredibly impressive from them, especially with maybe a little bit of a, I don't want to say a little bit of a lackluster performance there from DKR. I believe they entered the map with only 9 elims throughout the entirety of it there. And remember, all 5 points were played. That's incredibly rare, but a really good performance there by Santiago Valparaiso as well. Again, they had their opportunities. They won the first 2 points, got up to 99 on the 3rd point. But then you started to see Santiago come alive. That composition really started to work for them. And I think at the same time, you really started to shut down Burt pretty early in a lot of these fights where, yeah, the cast was still strong. We saw Burt make a couple of incredible plays, but you really started to see Zeus come alive, that support line as well for Santiago. I think you have to give them a lot of credit because, like I said, they were able to build up ultimates pretty fast in those last couple of points.
Yeah, and the importance of that, being able to build this up so importantly so, it feels like it's what saved them in quite a couple of these fights. But obviously the fact that we win all 5, I think is really impressive. Again, it was a situation where you had to watch the clutch happen at 99. It did more than half these points, almost all of them, excluding the 3rd one, which is even more chaotic perhaps. But you like that. You want that, especially as we're kind of near the tail end of things. Everybody is pumped up. Everybody feels like they're playing their best right now. And it's been really impressive to see how everyone's kind of developed throughout the day. And it feels like a lot of players are playing better than they did in that initial map.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think there's maybe only one performance in this map that you kind of would want to forget, and that might have been DKR, but I still think there were moments where DKR was actually able to help Santiago win some fights there, especially some key ones as well here. But again, Burt went off. I think Proper really did make Dark have some problems on that Zarya, but I feel like as the map went on, Dark really started to understand it a little bit better, how they needed to play around Proper, how they needed to play around their own support line of LCS and Nika. And again, this is Nika role swapping on to support this map. I don't think we talked about that. I think we've seen Nika play DPS the first 2 maps they played. They won't go over to support for this map, and I thought they did a really good job on that Kiri.
Yeah, Nika has been very impressive throughout the weekend. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you're correct about this point. But it's been really impressive. I think honestly looked really good on the Kiriko as well in this instance to kind of pair alongside LCS. It's a really good combination. Obviously, it doesn't start the strongest, but you see Santiago is able to pull this back, and I think it goes big and part of that support line. Because to be fair, as we're kind of watching right now, Burt was just mowing people down throughout the first half of this map and got quiet as you saw people like Zeus starting to pop up, or like LCS and Nika being able to care for each other a little bit better and sustain through a lot of that damage.
Yeah, especially a lot of damage is a little bit of an understatement there. I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers on the other side right now through these stats. I mean, 0.3, you already see Burt nearing 10k damage there. I mean, insane. And Minu getting this 4k here was huge. Granted, it didn't necessarily mean much as it was just a fight in between, but still, I mean, again, I'm just looking at the stats there, and you're seeing big differences in the kills and deaths for a lot of those players. It's just a really close map there. Again, I think right now that might have been the closest map of, I'm going to say, maybe the tryouts so far. You're seeing back and forth with these 2 teams, and something you really like to see as, hey, already back into potentially our final map of the night. It's Atlas. And it looks like LCS still in, Senses back in on the support line, EFX, Surreal, your other supports there, Glitch and Pakovic back in, Drago, Norshen, DKR, and Zeus here. So again, a couple returning people from last map, a couple new ones in here as well. And outside of that, it looks like they are letting the teams pick who they want to play here. Zarya's still on the table for both these tanks, but Santiago not showing us a vendetta. More surprisingly, I think Valparaiso showing us an Onron, which I feel like we haven't seen necessarily a lot. I feel like a lot of people talk about her as maybe being a little bit underpowered, but in the right hands, definitely does have a decent amount of value. Oh man, FX, I was gonna be really happy to talk about the cap, but no, going over to the Kiri instead. And outside of that, I mean, we saw this from Surreal back on King's Row, the Juno from them again. Oh wait, no, they're actually doing bans.
Yeah, they're gonna take the time and do bans, as I imagine time's gonna get added. Nope, that's gonna come to form. I didn't see
Report
the bans.
senses.
I cannot report senses. Oh, that's beautiful. But I'm excited to see.
Okay,
this,
they're not doing bans.
Yeah, not doing bans. We've been gaslit twice time over. But I'm excited to see DKR, honestly, and Neuroshin back in the lineup. We're familiar with these players for reasons we don't quite understand. Neuroshin actually previously playing on the Cosmos roster. Meanwhile, DKR previously playing with T-Time, teams that we became very familiar with this past season.
Yeah, and again, right now, it's going to be looking at Zeus here to basically pick up where they left off from last map on this Vendetta. They have the Zarya there to really provide them a lot of sustain. And for Santiago, you're going to be playing almost a Vendetta kind of playstyle with Neuro, which is very, very interesting. Or maybe even LCS, because we know that LCS at times likes to play a little aggressive.
Yeah, just a little bit, you know. Without the Zarya, that aggression is going to be a little more difficult to deal with, as eventually Drago going to blow up Zeus. As Santiago trying to put themselves in a good position without their Zarya to potentially cause this to come through. They'll get the initial flip, as Valparaiso is going to take a moment to get their bearings back together.
Yeah, and again, this entire composition, whenever you see Zarya Vendetta, really comes down to having the Zarya and the Vendetta. If you lose one, you don't necessarily see the team really stay in it, and that's what Valparaiso did right there. I mean, Santiago did not have their tank, but Valparaiso just kind of sat back.
Yeah, that they do. It's a rough situation right now as they're just going to get rolled over, and Valparaiso is going to take this point over relatively quickly. Neuroshin going to be able to stall a little bit longer, but they'll get it at 44% right here. Now, you already have the Orbital Ray going into this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Surreal. I'll say this: maybe going back to King's Row, you would have liked to see their orbital rays get a little bit more value, but they've been able to build them up really quickly. So it's never been necessarily a big thing of how much value they get, just how fast they're getting them. You look over the other side, though, Santiago could have everything. DKR though taken out early.
Yeah, 100% right now. You're trying to cut some bodies down. Neuroshin, unfortunately, burst down and senses the last one alive. Going to try to get out of here alive. It just does not happen. So. Big reset coming here, and I think the really important thing to note, only that grab by Glitch being used. Everything else is going to be online.
Yeah, and smart there by Glitch and the entire of that Valparaiso team. One ultimate was all you needed there, but you look over at Santiago, they're going to have to invest more than one in this fight, as you already see the grab coming out. Ooh, by Glitch.
Yeah, that is rough right there. Oh my god, and now Pagovic going to be sliced down here sooner or later as Zeus will be cut down as well, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to result in a touch coming for Santiago.
That's like turning the corner and getting punched in the face almost immediately right there. And Neuro had nothing they could do there. LCS going to be able to find DKR, but Valparaiso already wins this first point right now as they will rotate now to the second point, which should be in Santiago's benefit here. Should be able to get set up. However, grab was the best there by Pakovic. Again, just because of how that fight went, they didn't really find a lot, and LCS invested beat there. But Neuro, Blade coming out. We've seen some big Blades already tonight.
Yeah, 100% we have, and Neuroshin more than happy to put themselves back on that list. Gets two with that, unfortunately. I mean, you saw how big that beam was from Glitch. Had all the power in their hands, and it's going to help them push forward and get this cap on the second point. And Glitch has been a force to reckon with so far today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their stats right now. Only one death, almost 5,000 damage, leading the way in the lobby here. I mean, the Orbital Ray from Surreal found a lot of value there. Even though that was almost a lost fight for Valparaiso, Glitch really turned around as DKR looking to get something going with this overclock.
Yeah, you're hoping to get a little something here as DKR, unfortunately, not going to get a whole lot of value off of it. Grab pulled in. That's a lot of bodies as Draco does get one with FX going down, but unfortunately, it's going to do nothing as Neuroshin is just going to have to go to the point, try to take somebody with them, just does not happen. So now 50% already. Valparaiso in really good position, but they do use a lot in that instance.
Yeah, they use a lot, but I feel like if you're Valparaiso, you're not necessarily that worried. I mean, you got Deadeye out from the other side. Yeah, Drago was able to find one with it, but you look over there now. I mean, LCS might be able to build up to beat, but there's really nothing else coming up here for Santiago, and they haven't truly been able to win a fight yet. Even more than that, win a dry fight.
I mean, yeah, 110%, and now you're going in with some aggression. Zeus would love to get rid of their counterpart with a Neuroshin, but Neuroshin happy to get some care as eventually they'll cut them down, and Santiago with a chance to win this fight right now. Beat gonna be used to double down to make sure they take this one away, and that they will. Flips over at 99% as everyone else from Valparaiso trying to get out alive.
I swear, if we just see a repeat of last map again, I'm gonna lose
my
my
God.
mind. But we've seen these teams get a lot better throughout both these maps. LCS finding Surreal out, Nero gonna be able to shut down FX as well, find their counterpart there in Zeus.
Wow.
And now, if you're Santiago, you won the dry fight. Yeah, you had to invest. Okay, it wasn't a dry fight, you invested the beat, but you got something going here now. You look over the other side. If you kind of do what you did last map with taking these very early fights, very aggressive fights, you're really not going to allow Valparaiso to really build up to their ultimates, as you already see the grab coming out here.
And Zeus finds two,
Okay,
though.
Zeus. Okay.
Okay. We know who you are. We understand. As Surreal has your orbital raise, gonna let it loose, and they're gonna let in the Kitsune Rush as well. Draco, unfortunately, is so far separated from the rest of the squad. Pakovic getting all the heals in the world. Zeus would love to cut them down. Maybe has overplayed their hand a little bit as Pakovic running for the hills. Unfortunately, the hills have eyes, and they will take you down.
The hills have eyes, they have guns, swords, explosives. I mean, the hill is just a metaphor at this point. It's not even really a hill at this point. But you do see Valparaiso not actually cap the point. Santiago still holding on to it. Deadeye out from Drago. It's actually going to be enough to just stall it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no one that can really step on it and survive it, unfortunately. And in that moment, no one wanted to be that person to have to take that. Unfortunately, for them, it's going to tie things up. And for Santiago, they are going to keep running people down as Zeus, FX trying to get out alive. But Santiago is being very persistent.
I have to imagine Drago has played a lot of CS, considering every time they shoot, they just immediately start flourishing the weapon. But I mean, right now, you just see Santiago getting set up here on point, but Valparaiso, 3 ultimates, already 1 coming out. The Sundering Blade, I think that's a huge pick.
That's a massive pick right there. Neuroshin's going to get them going. They start out with a point. Neuroshin's going to get another as well. It has been really impressive on the Vendetta throughout this map right here, as LCS now gonna get a beat online. Glitch is gonna use the grab to try to survive, and now the beat comes out as a result right here. Neuroshin still ends up going down, so the possibility of Valparaiso taking this back is high.
I mean, but they need to go fast here. They cannot really allow it to be a really slow engage, and I like it here. They're pushing that tempo. Drago could be able to find Zeus, but you're just trading out. DKR, though, with the overclock. This is what I've been waiting to see from them.
Yeah, that's a great way to finish that fight out, because when you still have someone, you know, like LCS and Senses hanging around, a fight's not truly over yet. But shuts it down, looks great, and now Valparaiso is going to be able to go into this with their own Sundering Blade back, which Zeus has been really consistent so far with it.
Yeah, I mean, Zeus has been doing a really good job on this Vendetta. You can go back to last map. I think Neuro finally kind of got started here as well with the Vendetta after playing the Genji, get everything started here. But Pac does have the grab ready to go, but the Orbital Ray out here from Surreal.
Yeah, 100%, and Pakovic pulls everybody into that grab right there, but it's still Zeus cutting bodies down. At 60% and counting, everyone's Santiago gonna have to try to get out of their life. The support's being able to stay alive, and great for Senses now has this Kitsune Rush online for this next fight.
Yeah, Draco does have Deadeye. Again, they were able to use it as a zoning tool last time. That might be all you needed to get it to be this time around as well. Zeus, though, like I said, Sundering Blade online. If they get above everyone here, it could really be something that catches a lot of people out here early on. And hey, they immediately look up, but they don't find anything.
No, they do not. But Zeus, again, getting the big time here. Gets rid of 2, trying to cut down the rest of these bodies. Neuroshin, last one alive. As Valparaiso going to take another one, make it 2-1. Looking really good right now. Again, DKR coming a little more online. It's really nice to see, but Zeus's consistency on Vendetta feels really nice. Honestly, both Vendettas have been super consistent.
Yeah, ever since Neuroshin made the swap here to the Vendetta, I think they've really been able to match what we've been seeing from Zeus here. And Zeus, they've been excellent on so far. I think Nurashen, you can also say the exact same thing here. No ultimates ready to go early on here, so this is going to be a dry fight, at least for the moment. Glitch, though, once they get this grab, do they immediately use it up here? As I believe LCS starting to be harassed there a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit right now, but I mean, without Zeus in the fight, there's such a damage discrepancy now, unfortunately, for Valparaiso that there's gonna be no way to pull this one back around. You want to try to get Glitch out, who has a ton of charge rolling with him right now. At the very least, while you're gonna lose the point, you do keep all that charge and get a Graviton Surge ready.
Grab gonna be ready, but look over the other side. LCS has the counter there with that beat, and Neuro not that far away from a Sundering Blade, which honestly could be used as a little bit of a counter, but you see the grab out, there's the beat.
Yep, there it is. Keep them alive. It doesn't end up doing a whole lot at the end of the day, but it kind of helps both teams stabilize with their own support ultimates. But now you're trying to get something online. Nurashen is going to have this Sundering Blade alive once more. It's going to go up in the air. It's going to cause a little bit of separation as somehow doesn't get the initial kill on the Zeus due to that block. And now with that being the case, unfortunately, Valparaiso is going to shut him down. Santiago, all they can do is just stall.
I mean, and that's exactly what they should try to do here, but they're not even going to be able to do that. Valparaiso going to be able to take care of everyone. Granted, you got a couple big ultimates out there from Santiago. Beat, Sundering Blade, gone now for them, but at the same time, we talk about the ultimates that Valparaiso use. Grab and Kitsune Rush. I mean, right now, this is going to be a pretty even fight here. DKR, I'm really looking at them. This overclock, it was big last time they used it. If they find 1 or 2 picks here again, it's going to open up a lot, but I was going to say, Surreal's going to use the Orbital Ray first, and that's exactly what happens.
Yep, 100% right here, and it's opened up the door big time. Valparaiso going to be able to close this fight out extremely quickly. Unfortunately, without having your own Kitsune Rush, it's hard to stand a chance at that without being able to peel out and just take a reset.
And they have to here, because, I mean, again, we're going to play all 5 points regardless. If you're Santiago, you want to make the 5th point still mean a map victory for you here. But Zeus already built up to another Sundering Blade. Santiago, though, need to get something moving towards point here. LCS finding DKR out early is huge.
It is massive here. Now, great position here from Santiago to take this one back. They have people on the point, so while the overtime may start to commence, the flip happens shortly afterwards. Glitch, though, is hanging around, trying to burn away LCS, and unfortunately, just the support's hanging around as the flip does come back through momentarily. Maybe it buys enough time for Pakovic to get back, but still, this is going to be rough to pull back.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to see how good LCS is on the Lucio here. Senses throws at the Kitsune Rush, not going to be able to do much there to keep them alive. The 3rd point will be capped here, but still going to play the final point of this map anyway at the moment. However, Santiago going to have a couple good ultimates coming in this next engagement. Valparaiso, I mean, hey, they invested heavily because they know if they won that point, they won the map. But you have a grab, you have your own Kitsune Rush, so I think it's going to be a pretty even fight here. As Glitch already uses it, and I think captures 4.
Yeah, that's rough right there. Now, everyone Santiago is in need of care, unfortunately. None is coming their way as Pakovic, lucky to still be alive, quite frankly, and as luck expires, they had to hit the whole reset right there as Valparaiso going to be able to take the 5th and final point, and now a Kitsune Rush ready to go.
And look at what Santiago invested into that fight. I mean, the grab from Glitch, only thing that Valparaiso used, but Santiago grab, Deadeye, used in that engagement, and it didn't find anything. Now you're looking to try to come in this one here as EFX immediately starts off with the Kitsune Rush. They're starting to play a little bit aggressively here, and I don't know if Santiago's going to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, it's going to be really rough to be able to do so. And again, these fights have been blisteringly quick, by the way. It's been really insane to see as Senses gets finished off once again, and Valparaiso one fight away from ending this map extremely strong.
Yeah, and they've been doing incredibly well. I mean, even though this has been back and forth, like, it's just been insane. Glitch, this has been a really good map for them. Currently 22-4, almost 19,000 damage. I mean, this is Zarya. The hands of Glitch has been excellent. Nurashen, though, Thundering Blade out, not going to be able to find much.
Yeah, Beat gonna have to be used here to try to sustain through it all. Zeus being down opens up the door big time. DKR trying to find something with the overclock. Unfortunately, with all of that overhealth from the sound barrier, it's just not much you can do there as everyone's gonna be hitting the reset button. Surreal, the last one to go down as Santiago will be able to flip the Mac over, but now you're gonna be having a Sundering Blade on top of that Orbital Ray coming your way.
That, God, that's gonna be really scary. there
Yes.
for Santiago if they do not immediately find out where Zeus is going to be. But if you're Santiago, you have another Deadeye. Senses has their own consumers roster, so they're not necessarily in a bad spot here. As you already see, Pakovic trying to get rid of DKR early.
Yeah, trying to be able to do so. Deadeye goes out, doesn't get a whole lot, and unfortunately, Santiago's not getting a ton from this fight. They lose Pakovic early on, and now things getting dangerous. You still have the Graviton Surge, you still have the Sundering Blade, but you don't even need them to cap this point away, and someone is going to have to throw their body on, try to take this one, and unfortunately, that's all you're really going to get here. Sacrifice after sacrifice, as 4-1 will be a finish here on the Atlas, as Valparaiso again, looking phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, throughout this map, even though Santiago was able to make it close on really 3 of the 5 points, you really just felt like Valparaiso just felt comfortable with it all. I mean, the second point that they gave up there, they probably could have stayed on, and they probably could have kept that overtime going. Yeah, Drago did a good job at least just using the Deadeye to zone them off it and get that point win, but you could kind of tell Valparaiso never really looked at that as a big problem for them. They just kind of kept moving on with it, went to the next point, and really just dominated. I mean, that was a really good showing, especially from Glitch, who I think ended the map about 23, maybe 24 and 5 with almost 20,000 damage.
Yeah, it has been absolute insanity to this point, what they have been able to do. And that's something that's obviously, and no exaggeration here, is just extremely difficult to deal with. When you have someone that is just popping off that much, that is firing at all cylinders, it is really tough to deal with. Especially players that have got a momentum right now have been kind of carrying the momentum throughout the entire night.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, we've seen a lot of players throughout this entire night here. Looks like they're showing us highlights of Junkertown.
Yep. Or New Junk City. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, New Junk City. My bad. Get those two mixed up. But again, I mean, if we saw the stats from the final map there of Atlas, it was really impressive what we saw really from Glitch. I think everyone on the side of Valparaiso did a really, really good job. I think Santiago, they had some standouts as well, and maybe 1 or 2 performances you would like to forget about as well across the 10 players in the lobby. But I mean, you saw there the Zarya Vendetta still very, very strong. We talked about Neuroshen starting off on the Genji, going over to the Vendetta, really being able to match the Vendetta for Valparaiso there throughout the entire map. But outside that, the support lines, I think they did everything they possibly could really there. I think this is one of the maps where you have to look at the stat line for the support lines and say, hey, they did probably the best they absolutely could in the situations that they were dealt.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty fair to say in a situation like that. Because it felt like they were going to a lot of fights where they were kind of at the disadvantage, at least in terms of ultimates. Because the one thing I noted partially through was that these fights were happening really quickly. Which, to be fair, when you have things like a Zarya, like a Vendetta or a Cassidy, it just takes a couple of shots to just turn a fight completely on its head and settle it. A lot of these fights, from initiation to it being like, yeah, this fight's done, like 5 seconds, it feels like, in so many of them. And that's the result you're going to get, and that's what makes everything so critical, to where if you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, that alone is enough to end a fight just like that.
Yeah, and it might be something that Team Chile is trying to do. They're trying to take these very early fights here. Because what we saw here, especially on New Junk City and Atlas, where it just, you take these early fights, even if you lose them, you're not necessarily losing that much percentage if you do lose and give up the flip. And you're really forcing a lot of ultimates out early on. Both teams are not afraid to use ultimates far away from the point. And hell, some of the fights, especially I think it was third point of Atlas, or second point of Atlas, were basically happening on a different point instead. I mean, it's very fun to see that. And like you said, they're playing aggressive. They're trying to play fast, which if it's something that Team Chile is trying to do, I think will definitely catch some teams by surprise later on down the line.
Yeah, it really is, and it's phenomenal to see what they have been able to do in this instance right now. I'm excited, obviously, going forward, as we are having one more map to finish out the night. By the looks of it, you see, I think the VC right now forming pretty well with the people pulling in for this last map, which I'll wait to talk about it a little bit later once we kind of see everybody in game. But I don't think anybody new in the lineup that we, at least no one that we haven't seen today already. So we'll, more than anything else, Dax, is we want to see all 10 of these players
Oh.
finish strong, as Dreams Miz coming back in on that tank line at the very least, and that'll be really entertaining because I think both look respectively pretty good. Had their struggles at times, but again, had a lot of consistency in their respective maps.
Yeah, absolutely. They really did. One thing that I noticed there is that LCS was actually not being in for the first time tonight. Yeah, looks like LCS, they've played their 6 maps. They're going to be letting, it looks like Nika's going to be staying in, Senses, Vibe, and FX going to be the supports here. DKR, Pun Pun, and Bert, Zeus, I mean, they've been having themselves a couple great maps here, these last 2, and especially playing that Vendetta here again. And I did not look at what the last map was. I was looking more at the lineups. If Zeus has another great performance on this Vendetta, I mean, you really have to start making some very, very difficult conversations here, because Pun Pun's also coming in, and they've looked incredible tonight as well, playing the Vendetta, playing the Mei, playing the Tracer. I mean, I think right now you're really starting to break down a little bit of the top players, and maybe the players that need to show a little bit more here. It's gonna be really, really interesting to see who actually makes it through. Again, still a couple more days of tryouts, but I think there's been a lot of good showing from a lot of players here tonight.
Yeah, there 100% has, and obviously we'll see how strongly these last 10 players are going to finish out their night for the second day of tryouts. Obviously, tryouts at least extend, at least minimally, into tomorrow as well. We'll see if there are any that extend beyond that, because again, this is a lot of players. We'll see if they're very willing to immediately go down to that big 7, but obviously we'll figure that out when we all get to that point. But we'll see how things finish out for today as we're heading into our last map of the evening. Again, don't know where we're going to, but we saw some of those stops coming back in. Fair as, hey, there we go. Love to see it.
And it looks like, again, no preset roster or lineups here. They want people to just play their best. Miz, again, she's going to be showing us the Domina. I feel like they've been one player that's really trying to get it going here tonight. I believe there was another tank. I think it was actually Dreams who was trying to get going here as well. But outside of that, you still see the Vendettas for both sides. Still see Sojas for both sides. A little bit difference at the support lines here. Vibe showing us the Wu Yang. Well, Senses going over to the Ana instead, especially with FX still on the Kiri. It's going to be a little bit hard to maybe find the value with the bio nades here, but again, still very much possible too.
Yeah, Senses was playing that on quite a little bit yesterday as well. Honestly, got a pretty decent amount of value, but Dreams has the ability to eat it away. Pun Bun can kind of just survive through it with the block as well, carried with the cleanses. We'll see what it can find, as early on, Zeus is the first one gone, and everything's going to just fall apart from there as Bert wants to try to get out alive, but unfortunately, everyone going to be taken out, but Dreams does get knocked out of the mech.
Yeah, Dreams gets knocked out of the mech, and this is not necessarily the map where you can just go or find the nearest edge and just reset yourself here. But again, Pun Pun getting off to a really good start. 2 picks in that first engagement. DKR, after a little bit of a struggle last map, also finding one here. That's what you want to see from them, but still, Bert, Zeus, they've been probably the 2 best DPS players throughout the night here. They need to get something going here, and hey, speak of the devil, and they will get something going.
Yeah, that they do. Bert, nice shot right there. DKR, only one to get out alive. As Santiago moving forward, I mean, you're already starting to be in the conversation of worrying about ultimates. Bert and Miz, I think the closest at this time right now. And Bert, obviously, we know how effective they can be with that overclock online.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Miz with the Panopticon, though, is going to be really interesting, because I feel like, especially in these last 2 days, people have really figured out how to make the ultimate almost not be any value here. Santiago does take the lead. But Zeus very low in that backline, gonna be taken out by DKR. Dreams, though, gets team-mech'd, so a trade, not one you wanted to see.
No, it's not. You don't want to ever lose your tank in exchange for anything else, honestly. That's just how things go. But still, trying to keep things right now, but with Vibe gone, you're losing on sustainability, as Dreams is just going to go and match the Domina instead, as they're going to try to set up and maybe be able to contest this checkpoint.
Yeah, and now, I mean, the Domino actually getting going here for Santiago. Bert now with the overclock, trying to buy a lot of space as the Panopticon is out, and Bert, ooh.
Yeah, and it's already gotten rid of one, is trying to cut down more people. Zeus more than happy to lay a helping hand, as someone's got to push that bot forward and claim that checkpoint.
Yeah, someone's gonna. There you
Eventually.
go. And again, a little bit of an investment there by Santiago, invested the overclock, invested the Panopticon. Valparaiso, though, the Kitsune Rush, something I think you would really like to have as an engagement tool in this fight. You use that last fight. Now, what are you going to use? You're going to use the Tidal Blast and maybe get someone in there so they keep themselves alive. It might go on a Pun here, and yeah, that's exactly who it's going on to.
Ooh. So many people stunned as a result, but Pun is trying to find something with the Sundering Blade, and Nika from across the map will get caught out, but Pun gonna get knocked back. Unfortunately, won't be able to do more as that car, or that point, that bot, is gonna keep moving forward.
Yeah, forward spawn still active here for Santiago, and again, you only use a Sundering Blade there from Zeus, who found a big value after it. You have both your support elements coming into this engagement. Valparaiso, though, they're gonna have overclock from DKR and the Panopticon from Dreams, which I'm kind of surprised they're not trying to push the tempo here a little bit, considering Santiago just right now are getting their supports back.
Yeah, that way 100% are. But you going with that aggression, the Tidal Blast being thrown onto your Vendetta. It's a very scary thing to have to deal with. That's the Panopticon going to come online here. Dreams trying to get a finish. Is going to be able to get quite a lot of the Miz. And since it's still hanging around here, DKR going to be able to get a nice finish. As still, even with a good fight like that, 103 meters accomplished for Santiago.
Yeah, and look at the time bank. Basically half of it gone already. I mean, they did a really good job there. And look at the ultimates. Valparaiso used basically every ultimate in that fight they had. The Overclock and the Panopticon. Santiago going to have their own Kitsune Rush here, not that far away from Overclock and a Panopticon of their own. So you can see them come back in very quickly here as you already see the Kitsune Rush out from Nika.
Yeah, that you are right now, and Dreams deleted very quickly. So Santiago going to be able to pick up right where they left off. Going to try to cut down some bodies. Not wanting to leave any survivors here. DKR and Pun trying to get out of there alive to the best of their ability. Trying their best to right now. DK are going to pull way around that corner, but they are chasing. They don't want to let anybody live, and they'll get that finish.
Yeah, and forward spawns back in control for Santiago there. Only invested the Kitsune Rush, and look at what they have here now still. Panopticon, Bert has another overclock. Zeus not that far away from a Sundering Blade, and Hunter, they're in the home stretch here. They might only realistically need 1 or 2 more fights to complete this map.
Yeah. Panopticon comes through, but I think it gets yeeted into the wall, unfortunately, so that's a rough one right there. With Bert down, maybe start simming a little more of that bleeding. Zeus trying to hang alive behind that shield. Dreams almost giving their life to try to get rid of Zeus. Neither ends up happening in that situation right there. They want to do everything they can to, at the very least, stall this situation out as they're pushing forward with that Kitsune Rush to really stabilize, really make sure they lock this point, and Miz is still hanging in there. Eventually, though, will go down.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, you had to use some ultimates right there if you were Valparaiso, but again, you had to. Kitsune Rush was out, but you, Pun falling that early into an engagement, really before one even starts. I think it's going to really slow you down here. You need your Vendetta to be able to build some space, especially with Domina. Yeah, Domina might still be very good at the moment, but I don't think she necessarily takes as much space as you would really like, so you need that Vendetta there to be able to do it. You look over at Santiago, though, they're about to run into almost all their ultimates here. Valparaiso, because they used that Kitsune Rush in the last engagement, not going to have it here pretty early on.
Yeah, and Miz already in a really rough situation. Gets a big burst of healing coming through, though, as Santiago's been willing to invest quite a bit early on in this fight, and they're fine stalling this out as long as they need to, but it's not stall anymore. It's just straight up win as Pun tries to go for that Sundering Blade, but it gets diddly squat.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the investment there by Santiago, 2 ultimates, but you got Valparaiso to use 2 ultimates as well. Panopticon, Sundering Blade came out and didn't necessarily find really anything here. Forward spawns, I don't think were taken away, so Santiago can come back in very quickly here. Zeus does have the Sundering Blade ready to go here, but they're trying to time it up right here with a good push from their team to really get everything going.
That's what you're hoping for right here, and you see the Panopticon come online for Miz. Don't know how much value it gets, but DKR apparently is trying to find something out of there right here. Manages to get rid of Bert earlier on, almost gets rid of Senses and Zeus, who are all clinging on to life, still hanging around. Again, the longer they can live and stall this point, the better, as Pun is just going to start cutting down these bodies.
Yeah, but again, we're at that moment right now where even though Valparaiso's winning these fights, Hunter, we're at 50-50. I mean, Santiago's okay taking this. They have a good lead, almost 90 meters. Still just a little bit over 2 minutes left to go for this map, and Valparaiso really hasn't even been able to get it out of this initial corridor. here. Yeah, the spawns have been reset, but Zahid gets taken out early by Bert.
Yeah, and this is a rough scenario right now as Bert's trying to finish this day strong. Now you're coming in with the Sundering Blade, despite that Zeus, again, has been a pretty consistent figure at using so far. Maybe overplays her hand for a moment. Is going to be taken down, though. First down by Dreams as Miz is isolated from the rest of the squad. Eventually going to be burnt down as Valparaiso going to be able to win this fight and potentially be able to get this back to their initial 31-meter position.
Yeah, and they need this now, but you look over at the ultimates here. Santiago could have both their DPS ultimates ready to go, and they could use them pretty early on here. Valparaiso, though, they're not that far away from Panopticon, not that far away from Sundering Blade, but they need to find an early fight win here to get something going, not only in this round, but honestly just this map.
Yeah, and Zeus tried to find something with the Sundering Blade, gets kind of blocked out as Bert, again, starting that fight strong, gets rid of 2. Just barely misses out on that headshot there, but it's going to be more than enough as DKR are going to run for the hills. They are chasing big time right here as DKR, I think, is just surrounded.
Yeah, DKR just had to accept that death right there, but, I mean, less than a minute to go. You're able to eat into the lead a little bit there, making it about 80 meters that you need to get, but you still have less time than you would really like here in Santiago. They're going to push up Tidal Blast out onto Zeus.
Yeah, who's eventually going to be burnt down, but it's going to buy more time at the end of the day. That's the thing to really take into consideration. You're finally losing the fight if you keep killing this little bit of time back that's remaining. And now for Valparaiso, everything from here on needs to be perfect.
Yeah, but hey, at least they have some ultimates at the start here. So if they use them wisely and sparingly, they could get something going here. But like you said, they have to be perfect. One death kind of slows them down no matter what. Miz does have Panopticon ready to go. Nika not that far away from Continue, but you already see Santiago just right up in the face of Valparaiso.
Yep, and now it comes down to this overtime as Santiago trying to close things out right here, and losing Nika isn't the best start in the world, but to be fair, they're trying to go through it, finish this one off. Zeus building up to another Sundering Blade. It's here, it's available, as they're going to try to cut down. Unfortunately, while missing out, I don't think it's going to matter. DKR on the Tracer for touch, but they're not going to reach there in time. So, Santiago and its members going to finish this day strong. A dominant performance, honestly, to end the night.
Yeah, really dominant. And it came out of the gate dominant as well. I mean, it's just off the start here. That's what you really like to see. Just these teams get off to a hot start. And that's kind of been the name of the game all night for a lot of these teams that have ended up winning the maps. They get off to really good starts and kind of just keep the momentum going. The other team eventually does catch up, but by the time they do, it's a little bit too late. And the DPS lines, again, doing so much. We saw Domina for the first time to actually stick throughout the entire map. And I thought Miz did a really good job on it. Remember, Miz, I feel like the first couple times they also tried getting that Domina going, finally got going here, and you started to see it really start to find the value that at the moment you kind of expect from her. But at the same time, support lines were doing great. DPS lines for both sides I think were great as well. You even saw the Domina mirror, which again was finding value there. I like the differences in the support lines as well, that Wu Yang plays I think a little bit better into that Domina kind of play style than maybe what you saw from Santiago there for the most part. For a little bit. Actually, no. I think the Domino senses swapped over to that Wu Yang to help out Miz. I think it really ended up playing better into that Domino play style because it's a little bit more pokey. You can kind of sit a little bit further back with your Domino.
Yeah, 100%. It gives you a lot more of that ability. I think it gives you a little more sustainability as well. Because obviously, if you have someone like Pun Pun trying to like track you down with something like that Vendetta, it feels like it's a little easier to get away with the Wu Yang. You have a little bit of that speed. You have this ability to also, worst case scenario, have that ult forward yourself if need be. So overall, I think it's a really good adjustment. And from everything from that, after that first fight onward, it was all Santiago. They pushed it almost all the way. They never let that point extend beyond the 31 meters outside of like just under that 1 minute mark. It's a really good performance by them to just play the 50-50 and just have to let Paraiso keep having to struggle to fight back. And unfortunately, they just never get anywhere close to fighting back into it.
Yeah, like they had opportunities, but like you said, they just weren't ever able to get out of that initial corridor, which I think, especially with both teams running the Domina, you really need some space there. Yeah, Domina's really good in these close quarters areas, but again, you look at Domina as what Blizzard described her as, a pure poke tank. Yeah, she has some good close quarter combat capabilities, but she's not the best at it. You want some space, and because of the strong start that Santiago got, you saw the Domino really find its value there. But again, good performances by everyone here tonight. I think, like I said after last map, we're getting to that point right now where the people who are making this team are really getting down to that point where they are going to start making some really, really tough decisions.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate part, especially when you get so many people in on this. Remember, 28 players, and it's going to be down to 7 by the time everything is said and done. But obviously, second day of tryouts done. Still at least one more day to go before decisions probably start getting made, whether that's narrowing it down to a certain group, or maybe it's the 7 that they feel like, hey, this is it. We feel good about this. That'll have to be seen, but either way, there's a reason to be confident about a lot of different players after the events of today. I don't want to be in the position to have to analyze 28 different players and try to figure things out that way. I trust the coaches to do that, but I think there's some really good standouts, and I think there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for some it's gonna be a really rough decision. But hey, like I said, like you said, I don't want to be in that position. It would be very, very difficult, especially after tonight. But hey, day 2, like you said, in the book, still one more day tomorrow for Team Chile tryouts. And I think, like what we've seen a lot of good play, but it's gonna be really interesting to see tomorrow that play continue, because we saw a lot of high highs and really, Hunter, not that many lows. And I'm really happy about that for not only this team, but just Team Chile, or the teams that we saw tonight, but just Team Chile in general. It showed you that there's a lot of talent in this country that really, me and you said, we haven't necessarily seen. It's gonna be really fun to see that talent a little bit more here.
Yep, I'm definitely excited for it. But with that being the case, it's already been a long day so far, and our day is not done quite yet, Dex. I mean, for multiple reasons, honestly. But at 10 o'clock, we're finishing out our evening with a show match here between Costa Rica and Puerto Rico. Obviously, very excited. We saw these teams much earlier on, before a lot of the committees and trials got announced. So we'll see how much these teams have really changed up since the last time we were able to see both of them. Costa Rica was very strong in those initial show matches as well, so I'm excited to see how they have developed in the last few weeks. That's going to be really exciting. Puerto Rico, we've seen a lot less of, but I am really excited to see both of these squads. Ever since we got to see a lot of these players back at I believe it was the Suda Americana, I'm gonna go with, where we saw these countries be represented for the first time. It's Suda or it's Copa, but I'm taking my 50-50 here. Yeah, we'll go with that. Copa Americana. It was really impressive to see both of them, what they could do, and I'm excited to see them both here later tonight as well.
Yeah. So again, everyone come back here at 10 o'clock. It should be a really, really fun time. But Hunter, this was a great day here for Team Chile. One more day tomorrow.
Yep, one more day. We're excited for it. But everyone, have yourselves a fantastic night. If you want to join us later for this show match, obviously happy to have you. If not, have yourselves a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.